This may be the most shockingly offensive story I've ever covered. And if there is anything that would drive me to rioting, it's not politics, it's this. The Chicago Bears are gone. No more Chicago Bears. That's it. They're the Hammond, Indiana Bears now. Chicago, my hometown, has given up one of its most important traditions. And now, to all the liberals watching, I'm going to complain about immigrants. I'm going to complain about the economy. I'm going to complain about that's not democracy in Chicago. And that's what we're going to talk about as to how you lose one of the most iconic things your city has. The Chicago Bears. Can you believe it? I can't believe it. I can't. I seriously, it's nuts. We knew it was going to happen because they've been talking about either moving them to Arlington Heights or Indiana. At least if it was Arlington Heights, a suburb of Chicago, it's Illinois and just kind of the Chicago suburb Bears. But when you cross that state line, you want to play games, and then everyone's like, what about the Giants? What about the Commander? Get out of here. Get out of here. Chicago Bears. So that's the most important thing that I could talk about today, despite the fact that right now ballots were stolen in the California election. More accusations of cheating. A ballot dump came in with 0 votes for Spencer Pratt. I know all of that is important, but they took away my Bears. I will riot. Mark my words. Everybody's pissed about it. Everybody from Chicago. You know what? I'm going to say it. If it turns out, they did it on a Friday of all days, the stupidest day to do it. They probably put out the news about the Chicago Bears leaving Chicago on a Friday because I want to bury the story. But I'm going to tell you this, my friends. It's the weekend, and people have the weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they riot over this. Well, I'd be half surprised, I guess. So we're going to talk about that and a whole bunch of other stuff. Before we do, we got a great shout out for you. It is Red, White, and Laser. Garage-made patriotic gifts and custom engraving. American-made, Patriot proud, right from the Timcast Discord community to your ears. As part of our community spotlight we're putting out on Fridays, we'd like to give a shout out to Red, White, and Laser, a business owned by one of our Discord members. Red, White, and Laser specializes in custom laser engraved products featuring patriotic themes, personalized designs, and handcrafted pieces that celebrate faith, family, and freedom. Whether you're looking for a unique gift, custom decor, or one-of-a-kind creation, they can help bring your ideas to life. They're currently offering 25% off. So if you'd like to support a fellow member of the community, check them out at redwhiteandlaser.com. It's laser with an S. redwhiteandlaser.com. Shout out to the Discord community for Timcast at timcast.com. Join us, my friends. Be a part of the movement. We do shout outs for the companies made by our community on Fridays. That can be you. And we sell coffee. Delicious coffee like Ian's Graphene Dream. Low acidity coffee, so if the coffee hurts your tum-tum, you can drink low acidity coffee and you'll feel real good. We also got Pool brand water, Pool water, drinkable from the glass bottle or aluminum bottle, as well as cold brew concentrate, and a whole bunch of other special whole bean and ground coffees available just for you. My friends, don't forget to smash that like button, share the show with everyone. You know, joining us tonight to talk about this and everything else is Matthew Williamson. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, thanks for having me on. Greatly appreciate it. I am a writer and an editor. I am the host of 2 programs known as Do You Even Read and the Digital Archipelago. So many people in politics, they tell you so often, go read this, go read theory. No one actually reads. And so myself and my co-host Dimes, we do a very good job at trying to cover all of the sort of political literature out there that, you know, people tell you to read. We actually do it. We like to tell people all the time that we're like the only pro e-literacy podcast online because that kind of keeps us a job. But you'll find me quite often in the words of in The Blaze with Frontier Magazine. I've been in IM 1776, the Mars Review of Books, and more often than not, I'm usually a guest on Orrin McIntyre's program. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, when you first came in, Kellen had shared the news about the Bears leaving Chicago, and I just saw you, like, you hulked out. You started smashing things, and we had to calm you down. We were like, stop. And you were like, ah!
Force the suit jacket back on you.
I know, it was real rough, but at the same time, I'm forcing myself to kind of react because it's like, man, this is a really bad time to announce that I'm a Green Bay fan. So
oh, no!
Oh, no.
I know I'm in hostage.
Hit him with the hammer.
Relax.
No, Green Bay's fine.
Yeah.
You know, they're like our neighbors.
It's a good rivalry.
Yeah. So it's, you know what it is? It's like you and your brother will get into a fight.
Oh, yeah.
And you'll get real mad. But then if someone else threatens your brother, you're like, you turn immediately like, no. So it's like with Green Bay, you know, we'll smack talk, but
if the Vikings say something, you and I
yeah,
know
no way. That's war, baby. All right, we got the boys hanging out.
Hi, everybody. Ian Crossland up in it. What's going on, guys?
What's up, everybody? I'm Phil Bonte, sing for All That Remains.
What's up, everyone? Carter here and Brando behind me.
Let's get into the news. We got this from WTHR NBC. Welcome to Indiana. Bears board votes to move the team from Chicago to Indiana. I would like to just say, congratulations to Indiana. You've won. Indiana's just been doing better than Illinois for a long time. We all know it. And don't get me wrong. You had those state senators that are, they didn't want to redistrict, and well, they got what was coming to them. Indiana just has generally been better for a lot of reasons in terms of freedom and gun rights and buying cigarettes, I guess, as long as I've been around. Everybody in Chicago knows it. And now they've taken from us our Bears. They have done it. And, well, I say good match, good match. My anger is now with Indiana for actually securing the Bears, the Indiana Bears. They're not. You can't use the word Chicago anymore. I forbid it. Chicago failed. We failed. And I know a lot of you might be saying there's going to be a mix, right? A lot of people care about sports. They care about our iconic teams, our traditions. They care about watching football. And I respect that. But there are a lot of people who are probably saying, like, I don't care about sports ball. Who cares? This is not about sports ball. And I hate that word, too. It's like people make fun of sports. I like sports. I'm not a big football or basketball watcher, but I respect it. And it's physical feats. They're very important. Get out there. Get exercise. But there are a lot of people, you need to understand, when you look at this as a sports story, it's not. This is a story about the American tradition. It's a story about what our great-grandparents, our grandparents, and our parents built for us. And it's about how we have failed and we have given up our traditions. Now, you may be saying, but the Bears, listen. I'm gonna tell you honestly, I am biased. I am from Chicago. What the Bears mean is to someone from Chicago, it's iconic. It's the signs, it's the flags, it's Soldier Field. It's growing up and having this be a part of your life as something that was built to be shared and we have good memories of, and we cheer for it. And I know you guys feel that way about your hometown teams as well, be it small or big. When I see this story, I ask myself how it is that a city gave up on securing one of its most iconic traditions. How is it that when it came to a vote, the mayor, the governor, the system in place said, we don't care about our sports team? Now, again, let's remove sports team from the equation and talk about life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, the traditions, and the things that are all around us. When your governors, when your mayors, when your politicians come to a vote and they ask the people, hey, I want to get reelected, what do you care about? When the people say we don't care about our traditions, it's not just sports. It's jurisprudence. It's the Fifth Amendment. It's the First Amendment. It's the Second Amendment. All of these things eroding all around us, now exemplified right in the faces of your average person seeing an iconic sports team be stripped away from our hometown. And many of you may say, Tim, who cares? It's sports. What I say is this. We have brought in people not from this country. Many of them welcomed with open arms, and I respect that. But many of them illegally. And they were brought in under the cover of night by Biden and by many of these Democrats illicitly, flown on planes, dropped to the tune of millions of individuals. Some of these people get amnesty. Some of these people are protected by the likes of Barack Obama. These people have kids. These people get citizenship, but they are not here following the moral and cultural traditions that were built by our families and our fathers and mothers for us. And with all due respect to these people, I understand why they vote for what they do. But when the question comes to a city, what shall we allocate for production in the budget? We have this much money from taxes and from income. What should we spend? A country, a people, they say we vote for our traditions. But when you bring in these newcomers, they say, I don't know what the Bears are, and I don't care that you built them. So when the vote comes around, the politicians say, we don't need money for the Bears. We don't need money for our traditions, for our icons, for what the city means anymore, because it is now majority newcomers. And therein lies the big problem. Let me stop ranting on this. You can tell I'm pissed off about it, but we've got a statement here from George H. McCaskey and President Kevin Warren saying, yesterday, the Chicago Bears Board of Directors met and voted to advance our stadium development project in Hammond, Indiana, with the exact site to be selected. We believe a world-class stadium project in Hammond will transform the region, connecting northwest Indiana to the south side of Chicago through the Loop and across neighborhoods in the suburbs stretching north of the city. It will bring Chicagoland together and deliver new opportunities to its residents and businesses. I'm just going to say it right now. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I never went to Indiana. Well, you know why we go to Indiana? Cigarettes. That's what people go to Indiana for. They drive the half an hour to Indiana to buy cheap cigarettes and then illegally bring them over to sell loosies at keggers in warehouses. So when they're like, Indiana is, of course, part of the Chicagoland area, that means nothing to the people who grew up in this city. So let me just end my rant furiously just by saying this is exactly exemplifying, and I hope it reaches the ears of people, the eyes of people who aren't really paying attention to politics. You may live in New York, you may live in California, you may live in Texas, and you may have seen, maybe you saw the Redskins get turned into the Commanders when they vote to strip you of your traditions and iconography and what your culture is and was and what you grew up and what you love. And I hope people outside of Chicago can recognize what it means when you have decades of jokes, of media, of movies, of stories about your iconic team, and then one day they vote to take it away. Your history does not matter to these people, and that's what we are watching be stripped from us. For me, I care about the First Amendment, the Second Amendment. I care about baseball and apple pie. And now it's come to the faces of regular people when the city can't even maintain its own iconic traditions. I am going to smash something right now.
Look, I mean, this kind of thing, the changing of American society is something that we've been seeing, happen. It was slowly happening, I think, in the early aughts into the teens, and then with the George Floyd riots in 2020, with the whole BLM and stuff like that, all of the massive changes to the statues that had to be taken down, all of the phrases that became you're not allowed to say them anymore. This kind of stuff is directly because the populations of the populations of different areas in the United States have substantively changed, right? Like, so America is not populated with as many Americans, people that value America, that value our history, that value our culture. There are just fewer Americans, particularly in cities, particularly in urban areas.
I literally warned of this when I was talking about Springfield, Ohio, and them eating the dogs and eating the cats, when I said,
Yeah.
You have 100 people, and they have a baseball field that was built by Granddad, and they go to their town hall meeting and say, hey, what should we spend our town's budget on this year? And everyone agrees, we love our baseball field. We love what Granddad built for us. And they all clap and cheer and say, our kids are going to play baseball too. And then Joe Biden brings in 200 Haitians, and next year when they go to vote and they say, should we maintain the baseball field? All of the people from that town say yes, and the 200 Haitians outvote them saying, we want a migrant welcome center. I'm not blaming them for wanting a migrant welcome center. I understand why they do. I am blaming the government for jamming people who don't respect our culture and traditions into our communities and stripping us of what we value.
You might be right that the illegal immigrants caused the
I'm
joking, but that might be
illegals.
something to do with it. But I'm desensitized because my Cleveland Browns got taken from me in the 90s and went to Baltimore. It's hyper-capitalism. These guys are chasing cheaper taxes in a cheap stadium.
No, I disagree.
How can you argue? It's the Federal Reserve. I blame the Federal Reserve. It's been happening for 100 years.
I totally disagree. I don't think that there's any evidence
The issue right now,
Taxes, they're doing it for a
Ian,
cheaper, better stadium.
the story is
in a
this.
different state.
The Soldier Field is small. It's from an older era, and they want to be able to do more events. They want to be able to have larger audience, like more people in the stands. They want to be able to make more money. And so they went to the city and said, what can we do? And the city said, we won't do anything for you. So they said, well, something has to be done. So the Bears started entertaining other sites, Arlington Heights and Hammond, Indiana. The city could absolutely allocate the funds to a bigger and better stadium and expansion and move it and keep it in Chicago, and they decided not to do it.
And the motivation.
That's just it.
And
we're sorry, just real quick.
Probably they were like,
and real quick, to your point about capitalism, yes, I agree. And what we are asking for, what I am asking for is not capitalism. I am asking for government subsidy. I am saying of the things we spend money on, and we look in New York City and they're dumping tens of millions of dollars on hotels for illegal immigrants. I am just asking that they give tax subsidies and allocate public funds to something the people of Chicago want and care about. Instead, they built migrant camps on the South Side, and the black community was outraged, saying we are being replaced. They take our money and they build things we don't want, and they refuse to build the things that we do. That's what pisses me off.
It may be that they did the math and they're like, if we put $1.2 billion into a stadium, we're going to recoup it over 19 years with inflation. Like, what's the value here? The people in North Indiana are still going to take the L up into Chicago and hang out all night. Like,
because the issue is not money, and that's the point.
I think this is all about money.
It's not.
You just said subsidies, right?
The issue for me, and what I am mad about, is that when we as a collective decide to pool our money towards government, which includes infrastructure projects, it should include things like iconic traditions that also generate revenue and are important for the morale of a people and a city. The issue is, when it comes to the question of allocating funds for this, your voter base is no longer Chicagoan. It is no longer America. You now have people saying, we're going to vote for you, but we don't care about this. So Pritzker and Johnson and whoever else is running is taking into consideration, if I decide to allocate $1 billion or whatever, some ridiculous number, towards making sure the Chicago Bears stay the Chicago Bears, will I get votes? The answer is no, because you have young people who don't care about this country and our traditions, and you have people who aren't from this country who don't care about our country and our traditions.
Yeah, it is about the changing of what the population is, because the people of Chicago, they don't care about things that are American anymore.
Oh, geez. I mean, that's a grand generalization. You might be right about some of them, but we've got to look at the books to know what the economic projections of this are before we make a decision about it.
The economic projections.
It's all about economics. You
just said that we have to look to know. Then you made the assertion that you know. You can't, and those things are mutually exclusive.
Well, I mean, can't we pull this up? I mean, what did Hammond offer them? What was it, 40 years before they really start doing any kind of taxation? And I mean, on top of this, we've seen throughout all types of major companies and institutions in America. Let's go back maybe 10, 15 years ago when Amazon was trying to move to get another headquarters or another facility opened up. You had countless mayors doing advertisements, giving the sweetest deal humanly possible to have them go there. There were like a dozen mayors that were all doing the Alexa, hey, where's the next, headquarters 2 going to be? And it would say their respective city. A lot of this is going to have to do about the leverage that the team and the board are going to use to what kind of, pot that's sweet enough for them to stay in the town. And if Hammond is going to undercut the city of Chicago, yeah, it's a pretty bad sign for the city of Chicago, because the Senate passed it right in the morning, the House said no, and now they're deciding to walk. Whether or not this is the end and all be all is a whole other story, but it really does go to show, to Ian's point, that this has a lot to do with what kind of deal they can get.
Yes, and there's, I don't know did you guys watch the Dave Rubin Jubilee?
No.
So he's having a debate with Parker. This Parker Get a Job guy, he loves to debate random people. He has like call-ins from people who have no idea what they're talking about, and he just insults them. So he sits down in front of Dave Rubin and he says, can you tell me one metric by which Donald Trump has made this country better? I mean, like GDP, inflation, unemployment. And then Dave Rubin says something to the effect of, well, the big, beautiful bill just passed. I mean, we're still waiting for the repercussions. And then Parker just asks him the same question again. Yes, but can you give me a metric? And he talks really fast. Can you give me a metric by which Donald Trump has made things better, like inflation, GDP, like something? And Dave Rubin says, wait. And then everyone laughs at him. See, this is the problem I see with what you're saying. This is the problem with the modern era. My response to this young feller would have been quite simply, well, immigration. One of the most, in terms of metrics that Donald Trump has improved things was on immigration, where the American people in 2024 saw immigration as the second most pressing issue and voted for Donald Trump with a mandate to enforce our immigration laws, which he reduced that number dramatically. So in terms of what the people asked for, now, if your argument is the structure of governance is good when graphs go up, I'd say you are a child who fundamentally misunderstands what it means to be a nation and a people. And that is, when I look at the Bears, I look at our traditions and what unites a people and its culture. When people share cultural values, they hold hands, they hug, they get along. When people from Chicago say, this is our team, they get mad when someone insults their team. They say, yeah, well, the Bears are like, hey, you can't talk about my Bears that way. But in Chicago, everybody's like, let's go Bears, and they're high-fiving. These are the things that unify us and are incredibly important, which means we should spend money on them, even if the return may not be there. To the point of Parker, when he says, what about immigration, inflation, or otherwise? The issue of tariffs come up, and I say the tariffs are a good thing, to which the response is, and I say this, but Parker said the tariffs are bad, they cause problems. I believe the tariffs, the universal tariffs, have been bad internally for the U.S. economy and have been good for American culture, and it's something that must be done. We must spend money to improve. This is a strange reality we live in, where the mentality among the liberals in this country is, we should just have we don't got to spend money to improve things. Things should just generally improve magically by word. When we decide to fix a road, we look at the $1,000 we have and say, guys, we're going to lose $1,000 when we spend this money, but we'll have a nice road. They go, no, We don't spend money on those things. We should spend money on other things. The point is this. It costs us money to keep the Bears. And why do we spend that money? Because what we get is intangible. It is culture. It is cultural cohesion. It is the tradition that keeps the city united. And they are losing it, and they're giving it up. And if you make the argument that the Bears should only subsist upon their own revenue, then sure, libertarian, every road should have a toll on it. You can't drive on any busy road because you have to pay the money. If the road can't sustain itself through income, the road can't exist.
Well, I think there are public projects that we should subsidize at a loss. There are, like roads, but not sports teams. No. If the sports team's not bringing in revenue because people aren't going there because they suck, too bad for the city. Well, whatever.
That's not what the issue was at all.
They bring in money for tourism and ticket sales.
The issue was not that the Bears don't generate money. The issue is that they want a bigger stadium to make more money.
Yes.
And the city doesn't want to spend money on it. And Hammond does. And the city of Chicago should spend whatever they needed to keep the Bears in.
I don't. That's stealing people's money to pay for your sports team, dude. That's
I think
you're commanding taxation on people to pay for a football team.
Yes, the people of Chicago who love the Chicago Bears are not voting for this anymore. See, this is what you misunderstand. I literally said the thesis is we brought in people who don't want to spend money on the Bears. So when the vote comes up, they vote against spending money on the Bears. So the city doesn't do it. My point is we should not flood our cities and country with people who don't share our values. Otherwise, they will vote against our values, and we don't have the Bears.
But I do think that this is purely a capitalistic move by a capitalistic company in a capitalistic league.
What does that mean?
Well, I think what Tim is trying to say
NFL is all about
like,
making money. The whole thing is about them making money.
They're going to spend the money anyway, but it's going to be on the stuff that is no longer cared about by the people of Chicago.
Let's talk about the Laffer curve anyway. They're going to spend the money, and they're going to spend it in Indiana, and now Illinois is losing tax revenue. Illinois is going to lose an insane amount of money by giving this up. The issue is that the Bears are profitable. The Bears are profitable, iconic, and beloved. And moving to Indiana means Indiana is going to generate all of that revenue from everybody who comes.
But it's right next to Chicago. They're not moving to Detroit or
Illinois is losing the money. That's the point. Illinois could make money on this, but people don't care.
You've got to do the opportunity cost of what that stadium would have cost the city and the land, the loss of the land, and
there's no loss of land. They buy the land.
Have to build.
They were asking for tax subsidies.
The Bears.
So this is Laffer curve. This is Laffer curve territory. This is we'd rather charge you more money and not give you. This is AOC and Amazon in New York City. This is we would rather you leave, and in the long term we lose insane amounts of money than spend a little bit today.
We brought up the Giants, who have a stadium in New Jersey, and they're still the New York Giants. People still go to New York to see the Giants, and they take the train across the river to Jersey.
And New Jersey makes the money.
And New York makes a ton of money too. And they still have the branding.
How is New York making money on people
go to New York to see the Giants, and they take the train across the river.
New Jersey. No, if you're going to
people go to New York City to take the train to Jersey. They stay in New York City. They get a hotel. They go to Jersey to watch the game. They come back to New York.
Who's flying to New York and then riding to Jersey?
Jersey's like 40 minutes away from New York.
Yeah, you fly to Newark.
You go to Jersey.
And if you want to stay in Jersey, it's going to be way cheaper to stay in Jersey. Take it as an opportunity to go to New York. It's a fun time to go to New York. It's a fun time to go to Chicago. You could take the train down to Indiana. It's like, what, 40 minutes away from the city? 40 minutes away from downtown?
I don't know what you're arguing.
They're not going to Arizona. They're not losing their team. It's right next door. There's just a cheaper, bigger stadium next door. Same thing with the Giants did, man.
It's still losing the Chicago Bears. If Chicago said that they can't use the name Chicago Bears anymore, which is something that we were talking about.
Who said that, though? Who said they can't use the name? I'm saying that.
Brando was saying it. Brando was saying that.
But they probably still will. And it's offensive. But the point is this. What we have seen from liberal policies has been short-term gains for long-term losses every step of the way. This is a tremendous long-term loss.
There's some stadiums that are egregiously over. Like, what are they doing? A city blows so much money on an arena, and you're like, what? And then they have to corporatize it and get the name AT&T Stadium because they can't even afford it.
So let's take a look at New York, Amazon, and Ocasio-Cortez. Amazon wanted to open a warehouse in New York. It was going to hire, I think it was like 10,000 people, some massive number. It was projected to generate billions of dollars per year in tax revenue. Billions. I think actually it was going to be $1 billion per year in tax revenue. And so, or some insane number when it's all compounded, some insane number. So what New York City said was, we're going to give you a tax break. We're going to give you a tax break of, I think it was like $3 billion. I can't remember the hard numbers to bring the factory here. The argument from New York was, You bring your factory, we'll reduce your taxes, we make money. No Amazon factory, no money. Amazon factory with reduced taxes, we make money. Standard tax rate, Amazon doesn't want to come to New York. So they cut a deal saying we all make money if we do this. They needed that money from the Amazon facility to fix the crumbling infrastructure. Their trains are falling apart. The L train was shuttered constantly, probably still is. AOC joined protests in the financial district to stop Amazon from bringing these jobs and this tax revenue in. And she succeeded. Amazon said, we're not going to go to New York then. New York lost billions that they could have generated for an activist ideological nonsense. This is what is happening. I'm going to put it simply. There's a question posed to the people of Chicago. Do you want to spend money to have the Chicago Bears? Unfortunately, most of the people in Chicago don't vote based on this anymore. If you went to the 90s and you said, we're going to move the Chicago Bears out of the city, not even a joke, there would have been riots. They would have burned vehicles in the street. They would have crashed things into walls. Today, there's not enough core Chicagoans who care about their traditions to be bothered by it. So when someone says, listen, for $100 million, we keep this investment with the Bears, we're going to generate, $200 million over the next 3 or 4 years. So if we spend this now, we're going to lose that money, but it's good because we'll make money in the future. Liberal policy has always been, well, I don't care about investing for the future. Just spend the money on comfort and luxury now.
I do believe in this instance that they're still assuming there's going to be tons of traction because of the people are going to see the Bears right across the border, and then they're going to come to the city. They're going to take, like they even said, the L. They're going to take the L into the
There's
Loop.
no L to Hammond.
Well, apparently they said there's a train from the Loop down to Hammond that you can take. So
The Metro, maybe. Is there a train that goes anywhere near there? Like 90, you can take the Red Line south and then take a bus or something.
Isn't there one called the Line?
Yeah.
Chicago Transit Authority.
The L train in the subway system, I think you take the Red Line deep, like to 95th, and then hop a bus maybe that could drive you to Hammond or something.
Yeah, if you're gonna go from
Metro.
out of town to go just to see a football game, are you gonna stay in the city where it's more expensive, or are you gonna stay outside of Hammond where it's less expensive?
depends. If you're a kid,
If you're just going to see the game, right? Because most of the people that are going to see the game, they're just going to see the game.
they'll probably just pop in for the game and leave.
Yeah, but if you're like from out of town, but you're looking like maybe a couple hour drive, you're not going to stay in the city. You're going to be like, oh, I'll go see the game and I'll get a Hampton Inn, down the street from the stadium. You're not going to go to the city because the city's going to be way more expensive. It's going to be cheaper to stay outside of the city.
I bet part of their calculation is we're not losing all of the foot traffic from the games if it's right.
People are going to go. People that are living in the suburbs of Chicago and living in Chicago, they're going to leave the city to go to Hammond.
Yeah, so it's a Metro train. It's the Lakeshore Corridor commuter train from downtown that brings you to Hammond. And I looked up the directions. This is hilarious. It says to take the Lakeshore Corridor from downtown Chicago to get to Indiana, and then you have to walk 4 or 5 miles.
Oh my God!
The point that I'm making is
Get a ride,
They'll
brother.
set up shuttles probably.
it stops
Right, they will,
being a destination in Chicago, right? If it's in Chicago, then people are like, well, we got to go to Chicago.
Did you ever know anyone that went to Chicago to see the Bears play?
Plenty
You
of
people that specifically would go just to see the Bears play. It's like something you do.
Bro, I just
while
want to
you're
stress
there,
this. It used to
Sorry,
be
Phil, I didn't mean to interrupt.
for me and Brandon, we hop on the Orange Line, or we could take the 52, like that goes downtown, right? Yeah, and you're there. You're there.
Oh, I love Wrigley Field, dude. I mean, it's in right there. It's so
Wrigley
awesome.
Field. You hop up. We would hop on the Orange Line to I think you could take the Red Line to Wrigley, right? To
Andersonville.
you take the Orange Line, you transfer at Roosevelt to the Red Line. The Red Line takes you up to Addison.
Yeah.
and then you're at Wrigley.
What an area, dude. I mean that.
For Soldier Field, we hop on the Orange Line, drops us off right there. We walk right over. Now with Hammond, Indiana, it's a Metro train. It's a ride downtown and then hop on the Metro. You're going south, up, in, and then down.
The stadium must be amazing that they want to build, like super high tech.
You know what, man? I mean, who am I? I mean, I left Chicago. Who am I? You know what I mean?
It's they want to build a dome.
They want to host Super Bowls, yeah.
Yeah.
in
Like we should have
Hammond.
Brandon on the mic for this. They want to host Super Bowls. You're saying.
I'm going down there.
All right. Yeah, Brandon's got. He's been chomping. Brandon knows more about this, I think, than anybody.
I'm sorry.
He's like, I'm from Chicago too.
This sucks. Hi, I'm Brandon. Hi. I don't know where the hell the camera is on this side. Hi, there it is. So I don't think they're going to lose the Chicago Bears name for one. I think they own that. The franchise owns that. I don't think they're going to be able to take that away. I think that might just be a hearsay thing. They want this stadium because they want to build a dome and they want to be able to host a Super Bowl. You cannot host a Super Bowl in the NFL if you don't have a dome because you have to be fair play no matter what, right? So that's part of it. The other thing is they're getting these people that you're talking about that just don't casually go see games. We're talking about some of the most hardcore fans in the NFL. You saw this with the Oakland Raiders. All right, they got pushed out. Their fans were pissed. It was detrimental to that city, and everything moved out of that. It was we're getting rid of everything in Oakland. It was the same situation. These guys are being pushed out of Chicago. Some of the most hardcore fans here are actually going to be pissed about this. We're talking about people who show up at 5 a.m., park in the parking lot at Soldier Field, and start tailgating. And they don't stop until the game is over. And then after the game is over, regardless of who they play, they walk out chanting Green Bay sucks. This is the Chicago Bears team that I have known my entire, no offense, that I have known my entire life. And for me as a Chicagoan, as an ex-Chicago taxpayer for God knows how many years, I think this is one of the most unacceptable things that they have ever done in this city. I think it is going to kill a lot of money, like Tim says,
A lot of businesses.
because they're generating money from parking. They're generating money from concessions. They're generating money from people who do come down for these games. You say, have you ever seen somebody come down for a Bears game from another city? Yes. Everyone in the Midwest. The Vikings fans will come down to support the Vikings at Soldier Field, even if they're not there to see the Bears. The Packers fans will come down to rival the Bears fans in that stadium for a Packers game because that's how close the rivalries are in the Midwest or in the NFC. It is...
Imagine hosting a Super Bowl in Chicago.
Right.
I mean, the amount of money generated from that.
But they still will if they do it 40 minutes away.
no, it happens.
No, Illinois will not see a dime from that.
So many people will stay in Chicago and then drive to the Super Bowl if they're going to the Super Bowl.
Why?
Because I'd rather who wouldn't want to go to Chicago.
People that want to go to people that are going there
fair
just to
point.
see the Super Bowl, they're going to stay around the stadium. They're going to stay where it's less expensive because if you're flying in, if you're talking about someone that's going to go and be like, well, we'll go make a weekend out of it, we'll go hang in Chicago. That's one thing. But if you're like, I got tickets to the Super Bowl and I don't make a ton of money, I'm just going to go to the Super Bowl. You're going to find a Holiday Inn or you're going to find whatever someplace close to the thing that's not in Chicago.
And they're going to build, I'll give you this, but let me just say, they're going to build the amenities around the stadium. That's the point. People will say, hey, let's go check out Chicago for the weekend while we're here. Some people will do that. But I'm not talking about the ancillary tourist revenue that Chicago may or may not get because they can get that for a regular Bears game whenever. Hosting big events at a big stadium at the Super Bowl level means that all the small businesses around that in Chicago are making money. The lives of Chicagoans who are in and around these neighborhoods and areas will see dramatic improvement, more money coming in. That's going to Indiana. My ultimate point is, of course, the area will see economic boon to a certain degree if a Super Bowl is held in general. But this is the people of Chicago, short-term gain, long-term loss. We can hold on to our money now. And the question is, what are they spending the money they could have spent? What are they spending it on anyway? It's going to be something stupid. They're going to be, look, they were trying to build gigantic migrant camps on the south side of Chicago. That's what they want to use the money for instead of maintaining Chicago's traditions. And I want to stress this too, to Brandon's point. I think the Bears, is there any more rabid of a fan base? There's a handful of teams that have merciless fan bases. And the Bears, you got to understand SNL's The Bears because of how much people love the Bears. That iconic comedy bit where they all talk like weird Chicago guys. And by the way, no one talks like that. It's iconic because of how much people love the Bears.
I will say my parents are both from Chicago, and they've been in Texas for 20 years. They're still watching for the Bears.
Are they screaming like they called you?
Oh yeah, I'm sure I'm going to hear about this.
It's history too, right? You've got Mike Ditka, the coach. Next to John Madden, is one of the biggest coaches of all time in the game. You got George Halas and Halas Hall. That all goes away now. Halas Hall goes away. I can't see them going and practicing in Chicago just to go play the season in Indiana. They're also gonna probably move practice facilities. They do their camps down in Bourbonnais. I don't know if that's gonna be a thing anymore. Maybe they don't even do their camps and their training camps in Illinois anymore. Maybe that moves to Indiana. So now you've got all those people going to Indiana to go see the training camps, which people do. There are a lot of hardcore fans for this team. They're some of the best fans in football. And even though the team has been losing systematically every single year since the day I was born, they have now gotten to a competent level in the NFL after this last incredible season that they had. They pushed almost all the way. We've been dying to see that for a long time.
If this so much effect, Thunderpaw in the Discord chat said, according to AI, Super Bowl's they're estimated to generate $500 million to $1 billion in economic activity for the city that hosts it.
And you're talking about $5 to $10 grand a ticket for the nosebleeds. I mean, these guys, if you're coming in and spending that much money to go to a Super Bowl, 9 times out of 10, you're not from that city. You're coming in, you're a celebrity, whatever. So yeah, it doesn't matter if you stay in Chicago or in Indiana. You're going to shell out money to stay because you just paid 10 grand for a ticket. Right?
I want to surface level all of this stuff, right? We talk about elections. We've got like the story about California and ballots are being burned, which we'll pull up in a second. But this is the real world normie ramifications of everything we talk about on this show about loss of culture, tradition, bad policies, overtaxation, open borders. One day you're sitting in your lounge chair with your buddies, and you're the kind of guy who says, I don't really care about politics all that much. I just want to hang out with my friends. Look, I work hard every day. I respect it. You go to work, you come home, you say, look, man, I trust you guys take care of it. Me, I'm just a working class guy and I want to watch the game. And then one day you come home and you turn the TV on and say, I just want to watch the Bears. I want to see them win this time around. And they go, you don't have the Bears anymore. The Bears left. They're the Hammond Bears now. And you're sitting there being like, whoa, hold on a minute. And that's what happens when you sit by and you're not paying attention to what's going on in the world around you. And I'm not saying that derisively. I'm saying, with respect, I understand why people say, I work hard all day. I don't want to focus on the troubles of the world. It gets me down. I want to hang out with my friends and I want to watch the Bears. And then one day you wake up and the Bears are gone.
I got a taste of, in 1990, I don't know what year it was, 7, the Cleveland Browns, I'm in Ohio, and they get sold. They decide we're going to Baltimore. No more Cleveland Browns. Now they have the Baltimore Ravens, and it's the same exact team with the same players. And I realized, and it was a bitter pill to swallow, the NFL and pretty much all these professional sports leagues are purely about capitalism. All they want to do is make money. They exist to make money. They will go where the money is.
Yes.
So I don't want to hyper-politicize it.
Yes.
There may be aspects of weirdness with politics and people not understanding football, but it's a business. They're making money. They're making more money in Hammond.
Nobody's saying that. Nobody's trying to make the argument that the NFL is not looking to make money. Like, nobody's making that argument. We're talking about the move.
Yeah,
right? Like
the Bears did it to make money.
Because the people of Chicago don't care enough to make a stink to say, no, stay in Chicago.
You realize what it would have cost the Illinois taxpayers to build a stadium in Chicago like they wanted to do anywhere in Illinois?
I want to know the number.
Pritzker wanted to put it on the back of the taxpayers. We're talking anywhere from just shy of $1 to $2 billion that the taxpayers would have had to have shelled out in Illinois in order to build this stadium. Now, there are a lot of people that would say, hell yeah, take my money. I want to keep the Bears. Even though that number is outrageous. There are a majority of people in Illinois that are like, okay, to hell with this, screw you. We love the Bears, but you can't tax us for this. This is a thing that you guys want. So that's where the real controversy comes in. It's a fight between the people of Illinois, the city of Chicago, and the way that the NFL is growing in the modern day age. And it's a battle that unfortunately we have lost, and I don't think there's any way to recover from.
So every year, Illinois spends $2.5 billion on refugees, migrants, and the undocumented for support, aid, healthcare, etc. The largest share comes to over $1.6 billion. So in 2024, they spent $1.6 billion for health benefits for non-citizens. You know what? Maybe we could have spent that on one time, a stadium for our iconic sports team, for the traditions and culture of the city, and for an economic benefit years down the road. Instead, they said, let's spend $2.5 billion on people who don't live here.
Well, it's not like it's one or the other. And I don't know what you're going to do with all those people.
Well, there is a budget. There's a finite amount of money. And my point is, when it came time, this is exactly what I was saying about Springfield and Haitian migrants. When it came time to vote, and Pritzker was posed this question, and Johnson was posed this question. We've got $3 billion in the budget to spend on. The Bears want 2. The migrants want 2.5. They say, give the migrants the money. They have more political influence now than the people of the city and their traditions. That's what I am complaining about. That's why I am mad when we lose these things. That's why I do not like it when they open the borders and bring people in who don't care. Listen, if you want to bring in a finite amount of people, immigrants, into a city, and in a controlled manner, and we welcome these newcomers, and it's good for economic activity, all of that, yes. But when you bring in more people than the culture can bear, you lose your history, your traditions. And I will stress this. It's the Bears today. It's the Fifth Amendment tomorrow. We're already seeing court cases where judges are letting criminal illegal immigrants who beat their wives go. We are already seeing instances where judges are saying, screw your rights. We are already seeing the governor of New York shut churches down, stripping you of your rights. When there is not a moral and strong tradition of a people to defend what is good and pure and makes the country work, you lose it. And I highlight the Bears not because I think sports are the most important thing. I think sports are the most visible thing to the average person to recognize our traditions. But after the Bears go, the next thing that's going to go is your First Amendment right, your Second Amendment right. Sooner or later, they're going to put police in your house and your Third Amendment right is gone.
You're indicating that a lot of the financial hardship of the people of Chicago is because of illegal immigration, which is true. But it's also because of the Federal Reserve System and fiat currency and
I'm not.
inflation.
I'm making a point highlighting a very specific budget line item that people are pissed off about. In the 2024 election, the second biggest issue was illegal immigration, and they wanted Trump to enforce against it. Illinois is a sanctuary state, and they give $2.5 billion per year for what they call migrant care. Okay, well, if the people are voting against this, they have an option to spend that money on other things than non-citizens. But let me just stress this. Why should I give my money to people who don't live here? If you ask me, Tim, you've got some money, would you like to spend it on something? You have an option of a pizza restaurant, a Chicago Bears stadium, or a casino, right? I say, well, these are questions posed to me asking me to spend money in the city on things that might benefit me. Along comes Pritzker and everybody else, and they say, actually, the weight of electoral policy now gives more political power to people who aren't from here. And they say, we're going to take your money and give it to them instead. Now I'm not even getting to buy anything that I might like. They say, do you want to buy something with your money in the public coffer? Yes. Well, too bad. We gave it away to illegal immigrants. That's worse.
And think about this. We've seen this. We've seen Pritzker do this in Brighton Park, where he opened up an immigrant camp there. This Brighton Park is a largely Latino area. This is an area that was built on immigration. Their people rejected that migrant camp being put into their neighborhood. They pushed it out of that neighborhood. We are talking about Latin Americans, all right? We saw the African American communities. We don't want them here. We don't want this here. This is our community. These are people that are taxpayers as well, and they don't want this in their neighborhoods more than anybody else does. The Polish people out there, there's a massive Polish community in Chicago. They don't want it either. We're talking about almost like New York, a city that was built by a lot of immigration. A lot of people that came here became Americans, were working their asses off to put this all together, and they're rejecting these camps and these things that are being put in Chicago that they're paying for.
I wonder if part of this is also like a lack of interest in sports over the last decade. People are getting insulated into video games and computers and stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't know that they're getting insulated into video games and computers.
You watch Chicago sports at all?
I haven't watched sports in about
Chicago has
17
some of the
years.
most diehard fan bases for all of their
the point that I was making
That's
in the,
even still like
Ian,
17,000 people.
Ian, the point that I was making in the very beginning is because the people that are in Chicago are different, there's less interest in sports, right? Like people are not born, they're not American the way they used to be. They're not born here. They don't value the same things. So yes, there is less interest in sports, but it's not because of video games or anything. It's because the makeup of the population is different. We don't have magic soil in the U.S. You come to the U.S., you don't automatically start valuing the things that Americans value.
Well, I think it could be both, because I think I'd rather watch esports than soccer.
Well, Chicago has a history of dynasties, all right? Take a look at the Chicago Bulls, for example. They haven't won a championship since 1998, Michael Jordan era, right? They still have one of the highest fan attendances in the NBA. They have not won in how many years? Almost 30? We're talking about people that are diehard for these teams, diehard Chicago fans, that the last thing they want to see is something like this happen.
I know it. That's with me in the 80s for Cleveland, dude. The Cavs were amazing. Brad Daugherty, Mark Price, and then we had the Browns, and then the Browns, Bernie... what's his name? The quarterback, Ernest Biner, fumbles on the 1 yard line to the Broncos. They go to the AFC Championship, and then that gets taken away from me. I was so hardcore sports, but then I got into video games, and I just don't care as much.
Well, see, you're talking about.
But
I playing sports.
This is another point about lost cultural traditions, and I agree the decentralization of media consumption. Parents did not instill these values with their kids. Dads would sit. This is why I said it was amazing that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were bringing so much attention to sports, a lot of people were like, oh, it's so annoying that Taylor Swift is at these football games. And I was like, stop. There's a dad sitting in his living room right now watching sports, and his 14-year-old daughter came in and said, can I watch the game with you, Dad? And he was like, yeah, absolutely. We want more of that. I think it's a problem that parents didn't tell their kids, no, you're coming with me. We're going to watch sports. Then we're going to go throw the football outside. That was like the old school, the greatest generation with the boomer kids. But the boomer parents with the millennials didn't play catch, at least not as much. So here you come, Gen Xer Ian. You did not have that. I'm going to make this a part of your life and build something and you're going to hold these traditions. So you drifted.
I did. I played baseball in 5th grade. I played soccer from 3rd grade to 5th grade.
I'm saying, but you gave it up.
I became less interested in it because video games took my attention. It was more interesting. It's more convenient. I can participate without breaking my legs. I tore an MCL playing flag football. I realized it's just.
You either love it or you don't. It's really, it comes down to that. When you love something like a sport, when you love athletics in any capacity, it doesn't matter how old you are, you wish you could still do it. You still try to do it when you can. If you don't love it, you're not going to keep that interest forever. It's going to be fleeting, and you're going to move on to something else that you are enjoying. Sports for Chicago is one of those things that we are not going to move on from. It doesn't matter if there's one sports fan left and we're surrounded in Illinois by immigrants. That one person is still going to be a diehard, loyal Chicago
It's hard
fan.
not to become obsessed with sports when you're in Chicago. I lived there for 3 years, 2010. 2003 to 6 when Moises Alou, went to catch and Hartman caught the ball and it was a home run.
It was why that was such a big deal. That's a perfect example. The whole Bartman situation, people were pissed.
I got to stress this. The Cubs are just like epic losers consistently, but they're beloved more than so many teams.
100+ years without a championship, one of the most diehard fan bases in the game. I mean, I can't put this any.
I think it's because the stadiums are all in the city. I mean, you guys are making a great point.
Yes,
it's the culture of Chicago is a sports city because you got Wrigley Field. I never went
Crosstown
to Soldier Field.
Classic just happened, and it's like we're not even there and we're watching it.
Yeah, we were out there hanging out, and I couldn't take my attention off the game because I'm like, oh my God, Crosstown Classic is here. Let's cancel everything that we have to do in Chicago and go to the next 3 games.
Is that
The Bears.
White Sox versus
Everybody knows
versus
the
the Cubs.
joke. The Bears.
Yeah. Cheers. The show Cheers.
Everybody gets it.
One of the original
This was in
teams in the
Boston.
NFL, and it's sad that the Cleveland thing, because football was invented right down the street in Canton.
Well, Kent, Ohio, yeah. that's
Cleveland
the football
Browns
hall.
fans are also some of the most hardcore fans,
Dude,
even though their
Cleveland.
team has
And then
notoriously been
They
bad.
got LeBron somehow. Oh, first overall, they got LeBron, and it was like,
I don't even want to talk about LeBum. Let's not even get
dude,
into
that
LeBum.
changed. I mean, for a Cleveland fan, that was like, oh, we actually have a hope and a dream now. Like, there's a chance we might actually win something because for 50 years we get so close and then fail. I say we, I really felt like I was part of it. I watched Ernest Biner fumble on the 1-yard line in the AFC Championship as a kid on my knees in the living room, like the hope drained out of me.
I watched my grandmother wait for 90 years for the Cubs to win, and she died before they were able to see it. And I got to watch them win in 2016. It was one of the most amazing things ever. I got to watch the entire Bulls dynasty, all 6 championships, even though I was too little to know what I had.
My dad was a
I
Patriot.
would not trade it for the world.
My
We
dad-
had one of the best sports upbringings in the country, in my opinion.
My
So-
dad was a Patriots fan, and he died right before Tom Brady.
Yeah, and it's
the year
brutal.
before.
It's heart wrenching, and you're watching that game knowing that they're there with you somewhere, in some capacity. I wish you could be here to see this, but you can feel them there, and you know that is a major, major special event in your life watching that go down.
Here's my concern about sports and watching sports. I like playing them. Is bread and circus. It was a big part of the Roman Empire. Is they just pacify their citizens with bread and circus. They give them the circus. Sports kind of feels like the circus, and they want people like drunk.
What do you
sitting
think
and
video
watching.
games are?
Well, at least it's interactive.
No,
Like, with the TV, you're just staring at the wall.
You
It
can
does
still
the
sit there and get
exact
drunk
same
and stoned
thing.
while you're staring at the TV.
Absolutely,
What's
it's the
difference?
exact same
You
thing.
can watch
Exact.
esports.
It is the exact same thing.
When I watch esports, I'm actually learning, and then I play the game, and I'm better at the game
It's
because I watch the pros.
exact
No.
same thing.
Watching football on TV is not the same as
The point of bread and circus was give people entertainment and give them food. Video games are entertainment, just like sports are entertainment.
interactive.
It
Watching
doesn't
sports is not
matter. It doesn't
No,
matter.
that's
Are
not
you
true anymore
serious?
at all. That's not.
Watching football is not interactive
Wrong.
compared to playing an esport. I'm
Wait,
saying
wait,
you
wait,
can
what?
watch an esport, train on it by watching it, and then play it, and you're better at it.
What do you think Michael Jordan did?
Probably all he did was train.
Famously, he would watch videos and watch himself.
Mike Tyson would watch endless, hundreds of hours of boxing.
And right now with sports, you've got fantasy leagues where people are watching and they're tracking scores and they're playing games with each other.
If you're going to be an athlete, you definitely watch sports. But if you're not going to be an athlete, it's sort of like
it's absolutely.
No, dude, listen.
I mean, it's a part of, like they were mentioning, it is part of a community identity. That's absolutely true. I mean, if you're anywhere in the Midwest, you already know what teams you're rooting for based on what your family was part of. Yeah. That's just the way that it is. My dad's side of the family is from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and by birth, I have been a Green Bay fan ever since.
It's embedded in your DNA.
It's basically, it's something you've been socialized with. But I mean, everything that this discussion has been over, as entertaining as it has been to tie like replacement migration to the loss of the Chicago Bears. Your point originally, Ian, I think is still one of the more important things to look at here is that the Chicago Bears, the board and that entity corporately, took advantage of the leverage that they could use from the taxpayers from Hammond and Chicago. And the city of Chicago and the aldermen and the state house therein did not make the appropriate choice to keep it.
I like how you framed it, the shitty of Chicago.
Yeah. My bad, yeah.
But, no, I agree.
I've been there once, but nevertheless, I really enjoyed my time when I was there. But
this is just
wonderful. I mean, it's an embarrassment. I think.
What's Soldier Field going to do now? What is that going to be?
Maybe they'll get.
It's going to be a flea market.
It's
going to be a flea market. It's going to be like a bunch of like migrant shops.
It's going to turn into a super mall, yeah. And it's one of those things where I thought they were going to put the fire there, but now the Chicago Fire are apparently also looking for a stadium or something from what I heard in the grapevine. So I don't even think they're doing that.
The Chicago Fire were always in the suburbs anyways.
They built Toyota Park in our old neighborhood for them, and then they moved and they started playing at Soldier Field anyway. And now they're holding concerts and stuff at Toyota.
I mean, that was like Burbank though, wasn't it? Or no.
Yeah, it was right where we used to skate that old truck stop across Harlem Bridge over by Argo.
Yeah, that was always the suburbs.
Yep.
So we always kind of just looked at them weird, you know what I mean?
Who's the Fire? What team is that?
They're our MLS soccer team.
Yeah, they might put another team at Soldier Field. Sometimes they'll do that. They'll move one.
Well, they do all kinds of stuff there. They'll let high school
really
teams come play there.
Depend. Like either they'll have a high school team or some of the larger school districts might use it. But I mean, most of the time, even in smaller cities, the older stadium is usually demolished or it's repurposed into something completely divorced from what sports were in the first place. I mean, earlier in like the 2010s, the city of El Paso, they decided to build a new baseball stadium. I think it was like for AAA ball. They finally have the El Paso Chihuahuas, which was a very fitting name for what them to name. But the old stadium that they had closer to the northeast side had been completely demolished. It has not been used for anything therein. And now the, former parking lot that's used for is now for like, a county fair or something like that or whatever rolls into town every now and then. Yeah, it's a major loss of tax revenue. It's a huge blow to the identity of the city of Chicago. But your original point still does stand. They're using the leverage of what kind of benefits they can get off tax write-offs and subsidies. And it's a failure, I think, on Chicago's part to maintain one of the most important things to the city's identity outside of the things that really matter with regards to its history, its architecture, the people that built that city. And so now that they're going to lose that one thing. And, the NFL has appreciated and generated millions of eyes on it. The Super Bowl is basically the largest American, it's like the height of our liturgical calendar for the United States. So everyone tunes in.
So Hammond offered zero taxes for 40 years, $1 billion in funding for from Indiana for the stadium, and $700 million towards Indiana infrastructure. Arlington offered $500 to $200 million annual tax bill. Nothing for the stadium and nothing for infrastructure costs. That's insane.
So for 2 generations, no taxes. That is insane.
But the sad part about this is
I like Indiana. I get it. Indiana was smart. They said, "Wow, we can have the Bears."
Soldier Field has been around for 102 years.
Oh, it's ancient.
Yes, it was one of the first stadiums built in the NFL.
That's crazy.
It has been around for 102 years. Now, they did do a revamp project on it where they basically landed a spaceship in the middle of the damn thing. We saw that going on when we were down there skating. It was crazy to watch that. It allowed for more people to come in and be in attendance for the games. Now, it's not good enough anymore because of the tax spread. And unfortunately, we are going to lose a very, very big piece of history if they do anything to that stadium.
Let's just talk about like the bigger picture, I guess, and everything. Because, Ian, you're mentioning you lost your team, and I feel for you too. There's a reason why I left Chicago. It's deeply corrupt. 120 years now of what uniparty rule from the Democrats. Republicans can never win anything. And it's one big mafia system. You know that no matter what happens, the government's not going to do what you want to do. They're going to do whatever they want to do. They're going to extract money for their own benefit. it becomes impossible to live in these corrupt places. And what I will say is the reason why it becomes corrupt, the reason why you get one party rule with no accountability is that the community becomes fractured. It becomes very large. And then you have a bunch of different neighborhoods that don't completely see eye to eye. And then you get someone who says, I will lie to as many people as possible to get institutional power and cater nothing to the people.
Do you think if we could allocate our taxes individually, like all of us, like on an app, to whatever we wanted, that the localities, the cities would do better? Or is the centralization of tax purpose?
No, that's an interesting idea. And I think, I don't know that it would be correct, but I'm interested to try because I can guarantee you this. A lot of people in Chicago would be like, I'll put all my tax dollars towards the Bears. And the Bears would have the money. And I guarantee you the people of Chicago can outspend the people of Hammond, Indiana, and Indiana as a state.
I don't even live there anymore, and I would pay money to keep him there.
It feels like we're not far off from the ability of a piece of technology like
They'll never let you do that though because
what
they
I'm-
want to buy bombs and guns.
and like it's risky to give the people the power. You know, they've kind of since the Civil War figured out how to centralize power in the United States. I don't know. It's kind of like ask for forgiveness rather than permission. Like make the app and just start doing it and just start. But I don't know. You might get into trouble with the law. Like, hey, you can't decide where your taxes are going. That's my job.
Usually the government is
Yeah.
going to be deciding where.
They'll put a stop to that real quick.
And anyways, your taxes are just going to pay down the debt.
So
Just going to inflation.
Ben Devine, who covers Chicago NFL, actually, what is his? He's like most plugged in Chicago Bears analyst. He says it's the best stadium deal ever offered, like in the history of the NFL.
Sounds amazing.
40 years, no taxes, and $1 billion.
It's an impossible deal to turn down,
Man,
especially when you have nothing coming
with
back
full
from the other
ownership
side on
rights.
the counter.
Now imagine this: why is it the people of Indiana are willing to foot the bill for that?
I don't know. Do they
Because
have another sports
Indiana
team?
is a red state.
Do they have another team too? Do they have another team?
Do they have it?
In what?
I think Indiana.
They have the Indiana Fever. They have Caitlin Clark.
For them, they're going all in. They're
Don't they
like
have the
yo.
Indians in baseball? Or
Yeah, well, Cleveland has the Indians. Yeah, I mean they're not without teams.
no,
Obviously, they still have the Cavs and
have the
everything
Cavs,
like
the
that.
Indians,
But
and
you
the
know,
Browns.
and they have the Browns.
They lost the Browns for about a decade, and then they became the Ravens. And then because they changed their name, they were able to get the Browns again. It was a completely new team with a new admin 15 years later, 12 years later. It was
Bro,
Tim Couch.
Illinois shut this down. I mean, I'm just reading Ben's analysis of this.
Mm-hmm.
They've been trying. The Bears want to stay in the Chicagoland. They want to stay in Illinois. So they tried to go to Arlington. When the city would not accommodate them, they said, we can go to the suburbs. And the state would not accommodate them.
Mm-hmm.
Indiana said, we'll roll out the red carpet for you. So they said, okay, I guess we're out. I don't necessarily blame the Bears, a little bit. But I look at it like, bro, if you've got a room full of people screaming at you, get the F out. At a certain point, you're like, okay, I'm leaving, I guess. You know?
Yeah,
I
and
just
like
don't know if Virginia would have let this happen. I like George, but I don't know if he's making the right call here. If this is something old lady McCaskey would have wanted, but I can't speak to that because I never actually knew her. I just know that I think she was Chicago at heart, and I don't think she would have wanted to see this.
That's the
just
old
me
owner?
personally. Yeah, she was the owner for a long time. Got handed over to George. And
Wow.
she passed away a few years ago.
You know, for my
Real quick, the Bears had been trying to build for 5 years
Mm-hmm.
in Arlington Heights, and they were getting blocked. So it's not even a question of like they weren't offering the same
They
incentives.
tried.
Man.
They tried as much as they could to stay. And
So anyway, this is a perfect example of why replacement migration is dangerous to the American people. I'm only half joking when I say it like that. It's exactly what I explained a year ago, or was it 2 years ago? We're talking about Ohio. I said when Biden brings in 5,000 Haitian migrants and puts them in a small town, they will outvote that small town's spending and their cultural alignment. They will vote against it. And then you'll be staring. You know, it's like, remember, you know the movie Up? What a great example. This old man has a house and it's in a beautiful field. One by one, the land is being bought up by big corporations to build big skyscrapers, and he refuses to sell until eventually the government forces him. So instead of handing over the deed, he launches a bunch of balloons and flies away, which still he lost his land. But at least he escaped his house.
Man. My grandma, her house that my dad grew up in, that we spent our childhood in, was right across the street from like City Hall. And in 2005 or something, they wanted to buy her house and evict her. And she's like, when I'm dead, you can have it, which is probably stupid of her. So they ended up giving her like 60 grand for the house or some stupid amount of money. But it would have been nice to see her make a stand and be like, I will never sell.
well, what was that guy that was getting harassed about his house that blew up his house with himself in it?
That was one of the people in the Discord here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a pretty extreme example right there of you're not getting my shit. Like, I don't care. I'll take it with me.
Yeah, that's
You know?
that's a bad thing though.
Okay, sure, but I mean, it's pretty hard. It's a pretty hardcore stance. I'm not
Yeah.
saying, hey, I
I
prove
mean,
it.
and
but-
he really was trying really hard to get some kind of help. Like he was calling it here. He had a website. He was really trying hard, and it's really sad that he ended up.
So
The city
have they
demolished.
scheduled a riot?
I don't know.
I mean, you're gonna have to check. I'm sure something's gonna happen.
I'm
over
waiting
the
on
weekend.
the,
Or
to
someone's
to be
marching on
fair,
City
like
Hall.
when the Sox won the World Series back in what was like 06?
26, was it 06 or was
Was
it
that
2010?
Frank Thomas? Was he on the team?
I think it was 06. I don't think it was 2010.
I'll look it up.
Yeah, look it up. I just remember it was nuts. Like on Archer, like near Archer and Halstead, some dude, like there are people in the street just like jumping up and down and screaming, and then some
2005.
2005. Some dude was just speeding down the road towards the people, but the people refused to move because they were just screaming. So then the car swerved and crashed into a pole, and the guy jumped out and started screaming and cheering with them. It was just like the utmost of retardation.
I gotta point out, because I said that like being a sports fan was kind of like the circus. You go and you just stare at a wall. But really, if you're a sports fan and you're at the game and you're screaming, the players can hear you, and it changes their psychology and it changes the way they play, which is why there is such thing as home field advantage. I was at a baseball game once, and the guy hit the ball, and I went, yeah, like really loud. And the guy in the field like froze, and the ball went by him. I was like, oh, I have power as a fan.
In Seattle, they call that
Haven't
the
you watched
12th
The
man.
Simpsons?
I have watched The Simpsons.
You know what I'm talking about, right, Phil?
No, I don't.
Daryl. So Daryl Strawberry is on the field, and Bart's yelling, Daryl,
Oh,
and
yes,
Marge
I-
is like, stop, you're being mean. And then Lisa, he's like, oh, come on, Mom, these players are hard into this. And Lisa's like, yeah, they have nerves of steel. And then Daryl Strawberry starts crying, and he wipes a tear away.
So, in addition to screaming that they can hear, I believe that we have collective consciousness and that people can feel your thoughts, that there's a low frequency that's impacting reality. When I was watching the Cavs lose 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors in the championship, I made a video to LeBron James to wake up. It's on YouTube if you look at Ian Cross and LeBron James, where I yelled to wake up at him through the video, and it echoes in the room when I said Jesus. I for some reason,
Our poor
frustrated,
guest.
I said Jesus. And there was this reverberation in the room, and then they came back and won 4 games in a row. So there is something.
That proves it.
No, there's not.
And I would watch the games religiously. I focused on the entire field.
Did they win that series?
No.
Yeah, they came
What
back
was
and
it?
won
Hey.
3 games. after that.
Remember that commercial in Chicago? It was like the guy says, if you eat the hot dog with mustard, they'll win, but if someone puts ketchup on it, they'll lose. And
Yeah.
I can't remember what the commercial was, but yeah, what Ian's talking about, we call sports superstition.
Yeah, but I think it's some
Or
of it's
like
because
No.
the joke
it's just
was
a
some
different
guy would take a hot
frequency
dog
than
and get
your
the
voice.
ketchup. They go, stop! If you put ketchup on that hot dog, they're going to lose the game.
Well, maybe, but I think it's your thoughts because your voice is high frequency, your thoughts are lower frequency, but it's still a frequency.
I agree. I can take
Superstition
that.
is superstition.
Feels like no.
No.
Everyone's got their tradition or talisman for making sure that their favorite team wins. But I
Right.
mean, when you mentioned like they've been trying to build for 5 years, I mean, I think people really don't realize how much power people have by working with various groups to stop things from happening. I mean, think about all the oil pipelines that have been protested for numerous years, or even things that you want to build in your local town. Environmental review or investigating for archaeology. These are the number one ways that you can stop the development for anything. And the left is the master of this. For instance, if you want to build in the state of Oklahoma, you have to not only go through the usual process for environmental review per, I think it's like the National Environmental Policy Act of 67, but on top of that, you also have to go through the Oklahoma Archaeological Society. And if they find an archaeologist that has a tribal background, good luck getting that built, because they're going to immediately assume that, okay, we have something here that's for the tribe, and then your project's
make
not
it
going to
up.
move forward.
We'll make it up.
The same thing happens with what's happening in Arlington Heights. It's the same thing that we see across the country, that there are going to be leftist groups, NGOs, environmental activists that are either on the dole or get paid off by somebody else, and they're going to stop any kind of construction for what you want as a citizen from happening.
This is what happened to us in Martinsburg with the coffee shop, and why we were years just jammed up, because they have a historical society, which no matter what you do, they'll spin it around and make it impossible to do anything. And so let's just say we worked out a solution. The shop should be opening very, very soon. But the remarkable thing is how long it's taken up to this point, even with a lot of the work being done. So I'll give you an example. First floor of the building. It's just the first floor. It's a building like any other building. There's a side entrance that goes upstairs. Right now, Mamba Collectibles is operating. I recommend you guys go there for all your sports collectible needs and trading card games, Pokemon, Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, etc. on the 3rd floor. You go in the side door, there's stairs. 2nd floor is collectibles. 3rd floor is collectible trading cards, card stuff. When we were trying to build the coffee shop, They said because there's a door on the first floor, an exit, that opens up to where the stairs are, first, second, and third floor count as one unit, and you have to build wheelchair access for the second and third floors. And we were like, hey, okay, we got an elevator in the building. And they said, okay, well, that's an historic elevator. In fact, it's one of the, in our building, we have one of the first elevators, if not the first elevator ever built in the country. It's not the craziest thing in the world to say because we're on the East Coast, so there's population density here. So it's an old elevator from the early, turn of the century, 18 to 1900s. So they said it's got to be put up to code for modern elevator uses or whatever. Well, the Historical Society says absolutely not. This is a historic elevator. You can't do that. So then our argument was, but we don't use the second floor for business. The first floor is the coffee shop. Nope, doesn't matter. So they forced us to connect a non-business portion to the non-open to the public simply by some fake metric they made up. Because the door is there. And that was one of the things that jammed us up for a year and a half. In order to get the approval, okay, so we're going to put in a wheelchair machine where it goes and brings up the stairs because you can't use the elevator, right? Then they said, but the building itself. So you're gonna have to meet with the Historical Society, and they only meet once a month. So you meet them once a month, and you say, here's the plan, and they go, you know what? This is a little too big. Why don't you reduce it? We'll see you next month. You come back next month and say, I did what you asked. Oh, you know what? We changed our mind. You should go back to the original design, redesign, and come back in a month. And that's what they kept doing to us.
Is this
it's all fake.
Hyper bureaucracy. I don't know what you call it, but is this why in Malibu they're having a hard time rebuilding?
You mean Palisades?
Yeah.
Well, probably Malibu too.
Oh,
yes. And Maui as well. The government creates fake reasons why you can't rebuild your homes.
They kick your can down the road as long as they possibly can. And I mean, imagine being the Bears in this situation. You've spent the last 5 years trying to buy another house in the city that you love, and you are being blocked from purchasing this house for 5 years between the state and the city because they don't want you there. They actually don't want you there. It's really what it comes down to. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, why would they have made such problems through litigation and everything like that? Why would there be such pushback for so long if they really wanted this team to stay there? That's the question.
Is it that they, in your opinion, I guess, Matt, is it that the Historical Society in Oklahoma, you were saying the archaeological societies and things, that they truly just want people not to build, or is it that they're deeply concerned about?
Well, it's both, and it's really going to depend on who you meet. But I mean, for some of the stuff that I've worked on in the past, I was always told, if you're going to find an archaeologist for whatever project that this town, say the town wants to build a community center or they want to renovate their fireplace, it's oh, hey, according to your town plans, you've got, an old cemetery that's maybe 200 feet from the location, because of the regulations that are in place, you have to contact the Archaeological Society, in part because there's funding that's coming from state or federal sources. And from there, I was always told, if you're going to get an archaeologist to go look at this, make sure they don't have tribal affiliation, because there's a good chance it might get clogged up because of either ulterior motives or interests. Because, this is a very state-specific example, but, you also have to work with the various tribes, and they have their own intergovernmental agencies. They also give out grants. They compete with the state and the federal government. But, it's the same thing that's going to apply with almost any state or any federally funded project or anything that's going to use the taxpayer dollar. They're going to have to coordinate with, their historical society. Is there a heritage foundation, perhaps, in Arlington Heights that wants to go against this specific thing? This is why there's a whole lot of tools that, the whole not in my backyardism, NIMBYism takes place. But, it's also a very effective tool if you are an activist trying to stop something getting built, whether it's a pipeline or a stadium.
We take it all for granted. And I think that's the struggle, is that throughout history, I think that one of the histories of the United States, if you watch everything, is how much was taken for granted by the incoming generations. The assumption that what was here was always going to be here and was just for us. And I think when you look at how things have gotten to this point, what with us giving away our manufacturing base is another really great example. It's because people just assumed that it will always be this way. And as things slowly eroded, they said, well, certainly it won't keep getting worse. And it just keeps getting worse until someone stands up and changes
You mentioned in 2019 when we were hanging out, when we were on the East Coast at that theater, we went to lunch one day and you're like, we should build a city. And I was like, it just seemed impossible in my mind. I was like, how? That seems, because I was in that state of mind, it's always, new cities don't make sense.
Right, cities have always been.
But I think we should build a new city. I just don't know what it would take. I don't know. It's 7 years later.
It just takes a starting point.
We tried, and I put a good amount of energy into it. I had been going to prominent individuals, asking them to invest in the Martinsburg Strip when we were building the coffee shop, saying all these businesses are going out. They're going out of business. The city is in distress, and there's an economic opportunity. We could create an anti-Times Square in Martinsburg, West Virginia, by having like Cousin T's Diner, Papa Jack's Pizza Shack, and I talked to Square about it and said you could probably put up a Square convenience store where you have a bunch of products from all the customer, like all of your companies that are listed on Square. And I was advocating this, asking people to get involved. Some people did move to the neighborhood, and they mentioned like, hey, we're moving here. We love it. West Virginia's great. Nobody of their own volition would do it. We were the only ones. And I know people might say, well, Tim, you have to be the leader. And maybe that's the case. But I'll say this. When I make the pitch, let us come together as a community and build something, that can't happen unless people choose to do it. And I remember, I have the story I talked about with Chicago when I was a teenager. There was these guys that had like a small warehouse that was probably like 1,000 square feet. And they built a mini ramp in it, skateboard ramp. They each spent $100 a month to pay the rent. And sometimes they would let us come and skate it, but it's like if someone has a key and they can open the door, you're allowed to come in and hang out. But I wasn't one of those key holders. So I went to my friend and said, guys, why don't we do this? Why don't we all put money down so that we can build our own? And what did everybody say? Let me know when you do, and then I'll think about it. And I'm like, yeah, well, we can't build something unless we come together to build something. So it never happened, but other people had their own. So with this anti-Times Square, I said, think about the businesses that exist on Square. You've got all of these pro-America, pro-family values, pro-free speech, pro-Constitution, all of these things, all these businesses, and they all put their money where their mouth is. So I went to a bunch of prominent individuals who had either the means, the connections, or otherwise, and they all just said, well, you do it and let me know what happens. So we've been working on setting up this coffee shop, and nobody would do it.
Because like building a city, I guess historically a lot of it sparks up around a business, like a company or an industry.
That's what Musk did with
Starbase.
Starbase.
So you need something that was employing enough people that it would justify 1,000 people moving to an area.
That's the natural phenomenon of a city, right? So there's a bunch of farms, and then a guy sets up a marketplace because he knows the farmers need spare parts and tools periodically. And he also knows that the farmers will actually drop off their goods at the market. And so if you're a farmer that's handling grains or whatever, but you want milk, instead of having to drive to the other farm and trade, the market guy right there in the middle. But then someone says, people keep coming by this market and buying stuff. I'm going to set up a blacksmith shop right next door because then they can pick up tools for me while they're at the market. One by one, businesses pop up. Then someone says, you need a hotel here for when people are traveling. You need a saloon for people to hang out. And now you've got your town center and it grows. Then residential areas start popping up around it because people need to live and work in the same area. That's the natural way to do it. I think it's fair to say we could choose to just do it, right? If people said, I'm going to go to Martinsburg, West Virginia, and I'm going to rent out the storefront, start a business, we could do it. I think the challenge is the right is not motivated the way the left is. The left does this kind of stuff. I mean, they'll show up with hammers and baseball bats and Molotov cocktails and threaten the locals into doing what they want to do. They will build these things. The right won't.
It's a comfortable environment. I understand why people aren't like spurred to do it because you're making a lot of money on the internet. You can live wherever you want for the most part. There's even knowing that like the antidote to communism is community and building a strong community. It's still like
it sounds funny, right? The antidote to communism is community. And that's astute, Ian, because communism works when the community is fragmented and incapable of rising up to stop the tyranny. So communism thrives off of shattering local communities and decentralizing everybody, making sure they can't organize.
Well, it goes back to what you said about taking things for granted. I mean, the average American has no idea who their city council rep is, let alone their county commissioner, which you should know, because if you want to know where the budget for your respective town or county gets allocated at, it's at those meetings. These are all public. These all have names and addresses, and the average person really doesn't care. I mean, like where my father lives, you know, he was complaining that around the corner, where he's on the corner of the street, and he's like, man, there's a lot of overhanging branches and trees. He says, I don't know who to talk to about this. And I'm like, do you even know who your county commissioner is to call? Because they're the ones that fund fund and take care of how the roads are? And he's like, well, no. And I said, well, here's his number. And I mean, it really just takes the basic forms of civic engagement. And the average American is so politically illiterate. I mean, yes, a lot of important things happen in Washington, whether it's the federal budget, National Defense Authorization Act, whatever you may have. But a lot of your problems do happen either in your respective state house or, more importantly, at your city council and your county commissioners meeting.
There's another phenomenon, like the renter's lifestyle, how convenient it is. Like Spotify, for instance. I can move anywhere and live in any house anywhere and still work on the internet. Like, I don't need to settle down and plant roots anywhere because it's so convenient to rent. Even my business friends are like, don't buy, rent right now, rent. And it's like, where's the community? You know, if I'm just looking out the door all the time, like where my next step of the journey is gonna be, how can I ever settle down and or why would I ever settle down and build a community? Except that I know it's the right thing to do, but like, it's not the convenient thing to do.
And that's, I think, a major factor in what's contributed to the death of small town America. To your point, like, there's not enough of the right people involved in keeping these kinds of things going. To Phil's point, people don't care about, what's the word I'm looking for? Extending or passing down, that Americana to the next generation anymore. They just don't care.
Yep.
Is what it's come to. So the causality of this is that the small towns of America are dying.
Mandatory baseball.
Oh, I'd love that.
I jokingly said Trump should send to the military to stop this from happening, but I'm like half joking. If Donald Trump was like, we're going to be sending in federal authorities to oversee this and make sure the Bears stay, I'd be like, well, okay, I guess.
National Guard is at Soldier Field right now.
They have Navy and
forcing
Army.
the Bears to stay and play. Yeah.
But
They're not allowed to leave.
They don't have an NFL. Navy and Army have college teams, but they don't have an NFL team. That'd be interesting. Probably not a good idea if the government made an NFL team.
I'm gonna when I run for president, I'm going to campaign on. It'll be mandatory for all public schools to attend at least 2 baseball games per year as a field trip. And baseball will be gym class. So you don't just have the stupid gym class where the kids go outside and they're like, okay, we're going to play Foursquare and dodgeball. No, you'll play baseball.
What about softball? Because I didn't like getting hit by those idiot pitchers.
Softball's for girls, Ian.
Softball, well, big softball.
Some of those
right?
pitchers were they were like such amateurs, and they would throw so hard at me. I'd be like,
I would say I'm actually fine with going t-ball, softball, baseball. Like, little 5-year-old kids not gonna.
Kickball is pretty.
Well, we had Little League back in the day. I used to play at Kelly.
Mandatory Little League.
Yep. It was one of the greatest experiences of my
play
life
every
being involved in a
sport.
sports team.
Mandatory.
We throw the football after the show for
I mean,
like
that just
5
goes
minutes.
back to what you're asking.
We've been throwing the football here. It's fun.
so
about community because,
Yeah.
again, you can have everyone in there, but if not everyone's going to speak the same language,
Yep.
not everyone's going to trust one another, you can't really have these.
Mandatory English.
Also, mandatory throwing.
Just a mandatory immigration moratorium. Get the rest out.
There you go. Now you're talking.
American Pie in baseball.
That's
Let's go
right.
with kicking out a couple
Moratorium for at least
It is
10
mandatory
years.
that every school
50.
bake apple pie at least 4 times a year. Once a quarter, there's an apple pie bake-off, and all the kids have apple pie. And baseball is mandatory. Sorry, football. I love you, football, but football is optional. Baseball is mandatory.
But gluten is optional also for the apple pie. Gluten-free would be.
Well, it's a
fine.
bake-off. They choose.
Yeah, okay, that's even better.
Yeah, so you could do like you could do like an almond crust. That's pretty good when done
Think
right.
about throwing, like you can track back the human evolution to when our brain matter just skyrocketed in intelligence when we learned how to throw because we learned how to kill with rocks.
Ian.
And like it fixes your brain throwing things.
I love how you went from
Ian.
the softball to this in like 10
Ian.
seconds.
All of human warfare has just been figuring out how to throw rocks better. First, we literally threw a rock.
Rocks that
Then we
explode.
tied it. We put a rock in a little sack with a string and flung it around and threw the rock.
And then it was-
Then we sharpened the rock and put it on the end of a piece of wood and used stored energy from another piece of wood to fling that rock at high speeds. Today, we've taken core components of the densest piece of rock, loaded a bunch of other rocks behind it to fire it at high velocities and cause your brain to explode.
Also, you've got rocks that explode into a bunch of other rocks that explode on impact.
It's all just throwing rocks. Did you guys know that I think it was World War I or II? They designed hand grenades to be like baseballs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because every single young man learned how to throw a baseball.
Yep.
So they were like, make it a baseball. They'll throw curves, man.
That is why they were originally rounded and not like egg-shaped, is because they fit the model of an American baseball, and everyone was good at throwing baseballs. So how could you be bad at throwing a
Now
grenade?
football
Modern ones
bombs.
Not football bombs.
No, they should throw
You know,
make
I think they would do
football
more
bombs.
damage.
friend
Modern
asked
ones
me
are
once
spheres now too as well.
I had a
They don't
friend
use
ask
the
me if,
pineapple
like,
style anymore.
if
Yeah.
a pitcher
Modern
had
ones are spheres. Yeah.
The modern grenades are spheres?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah. They don't use the pineapple style anymore.
Yeah, why not? The pineapple style was intended to create shrapnel.
Yeah, well, they're all intended. The modern ones have those same kind of scoring on the inside, so that way they're pieces, but it's a smooth ball now.
Less wind resistance, maybe.
Yeah, well, mostly to just make sure that there are a bunch of pieces that go, so it doesn't blow.
My name
out
is
on the side.
Mutton Chop says no soccer. Agreed. Soccer is banned.
Soccer was pretty fun.
Me and
Third world
Brando, we
game.
went back to Illinois for like the fourth. What was it, last year or the year before? And our baseball fields have soccer goals in them.
What do you guys think about renaming it football and then just changing football into like handball?
We don't have to
No.
rename it football.
Wait,
It
hold on.
already is called football.
No, he's got a good point. We should force everyone in the world to change the name of soccer, of football, to something else, and around the world, football will be American football.
Good luck
Change
getting
the
the
name
UK to get on
for
board.
everyone else in the world.
Good
They'll
luck
stab
with
you
that.
over
By
for saying the word
force.
soccer.
What would be a better name for football than football? Because you don't
Football.
use your foot that much.
We don't need to
Hand
change
egg.
it.
You throw it. Handball, but handball's already a game.
No. Football is football.
Throw ball.
Soccer around the world should be renamed soccer.
Oh, good luck. That's from what is it? What do you know where the term soccer comes from? It's like social. Do you know where the word term soccer is?
It was coined to insult people who play a dumb game.
No, I meant like the society.
by the
of
way.
Will, are you
Soccer's
Googling
okay.
this?
I'm Googling this now.
Let's see what it is.
Soccer is fine.
term soccer.
Term soccer originated in the 19th century England as a shorthand form of association football. It derives from the Oxford slang trend where students at universities like Oxford and Cambridge added to the end of words. Association became a soccer, which was later shortened to soccer.
They had
Soccer?
football and association football, so they turned association football into
They didn't
soccer.
know because
Oxford
football.
and Cambridge were involved in this?
Yeah, well,
It's amazing that they want to stab people for saying the word soccer over there when Oxford and Cambridge were involved in inventing this word. That's just
Yeah,
me.
I think it was to delineate between the two versions of soccer, like original football that they had, and one was association football, which is maybe like the pro version.
No cricket. You get caught playing cricket. That's a paddling with the paddle.
The cricket battle itself. I think football is my favorite sport.
I think it'll just stay in
American
India and
football?
Pakistan. It'll be fine.
Not soccer.
No, soccer was too exhausting to play. It was a lot.
I like
of running.
baseball.
Foosball?
No, baseball.
baseball's fun to watch.
You get a foosball?
Yeah, baseball. Like when we go to like a baseball game, we went. When do we go? Like
We went to go see the White Sox and the Nats at the end of the last season.
Yeah. That was so much fun to watch.
I like it because it's not high contact and it's a lot of burst athleticism, like chilling out, relaxing, and then burst power.
Football's okay.
It's just-
but it's not the same. Baseball's way better. Baseball is like tactics, you know. And
I mean, they
football
all
does have
their
that
own.
too.
They all have their own special allure. I think hockey has its own thing too. If you go to a hockey game, it's a way different environment, but there's still that electricity around the arena, watching your team play, watching your team make a huge play, scoring a goal.
Hockey is just Canadian ice soccer, though.
The cool thing about like football and hockey and to some extent basketball, they more rely on the team working together. Whereas with baseball, it's really about the pitcher and the hitter.
Yeah,
It's
one
about
guy
two
can change
dudes.
the whole game.
Yeah, it's
The
about two guys
tension
going.
at the
Yeah.
pitch is the best part of baseball.
Yep.
Are you guys
Absolutely.
glad they're getting rid of umpires, or they seem to be relying more
Oh,
on
thank
computers?
God,
I'm
man.
with you. The umpire making a bad call like completely ruined the sport, in my opinion.
Rigged, dude. Just get the robots in there.
I have to say, I wasn't sure about the pitch clock thing at first, but that has actually turned out to help the game kind of flow better.
Yeah.
Usually, pitchers used to be able to go for a sandwich in between pitches because they could literally stand there for 20 minutes and there was nothing stopping them, or they could step off the plate. Okay, cool. We have to wait another 5 minutes,
But I'm just
Games
sick
would
of
take
watching
6
bad
hours.
calls. Like when we went to that Sox Nats game, there were a handful of bad calls,
Yes.
and we were just like, what?
They're actually getting rid of the umpire?
Well, they're relying
talking
more
about-
on machines
yeah,
than the
AI.
guy.
They're going to have AI start doing it.
So the first job lost AI as an umpire.
Hopefully.
I don't know about that
You were
first.
saying, Brandon, when we were
I don't know
in
about the
Vegas
first,
at
but-
the games, at the enhanced games, you were saying that football, like the kickoffs are changing, like they're kind of neutering football.
They have. There's a lot of changes that have been implemented in the last 10 years, specifically when it comes to a lot of these things, kickoff returns and whatever. And there's always the question of, okay, are we making our players as safe as possible during all of these contact situations? Now you've got a guy running 25 miles an hour full speed across the field to a guy who's standing still looking upward at the ball, and the second he catches the ball, he's in play to be hit. So that guy, if he times it right, can hit him at 25 miles an hour while he's not even paying attention and basically end his career. So they started this thing where, okay, now you got to kick the ball from here. No one's allowed to move until the ball lands in the receiver's hands. Then you guys can move. This gives this guy time to kind of see what's coming. He doesn't get hit by a truck, of a human being coming at him 25 miles an hour. So It's a lot to do with player safety, the whole CTD thing, which they think is a myth, but I don't think it is.
What's CTD?
That's brain injuries from concussions and things like that. A lot of wrestlers have had it. A lot of football players have had it. It's just from getting smacked in the head too many times over the course of your.
So you think it's a good thing that they're changing the sport?
Some of this stuff, yeah, it is for the health of the players. While we're not used to it, and we've been seeing, a lot of. It used to just be gridiron war, football. Like George Carlin said, football is played on a gridiron. Like. Baseball, we have to go inside when it rains. It's one of those situations. Football is one of the most hardcore things you could watch. So when you start seeing changes made like that about player safety, the more hardcore fans are going to be like, that shit's stupid. Take his head off.
Is it because people are getting bigger and faster and stronger?
Well, this is our modern day gladiators, right? Like this is back in Rome, you would go see people cut each other's heads off. It was, barbarian stuff. Like this is as close as we get to that. So the animal in us still wants to see someone get their head torn off, even if we're like, oh man, I feel so bad for his family. Everyone's still gonna be like, holy shit, did you see that hit? Like that's what we want.
Yeah, I would struggle with that, watching a guy laid out on the field, especially if he's on the other team.
No, and they don't glorify that anymore. They used to, leave the camera hovering on the guy that's dead on the field. They don't do that anymore. Now it's like, okay, we're going to take this off of here. There's respect for these players, and I do think that that's a very serious thing, and it does need to be honored. And I do agree with a lot of these policies that are being put in place to keep these guys safe, because I've watched Bears players, great players, Johnny Knox, career-ending injury, getting hit too bad. He's one of the best wide receivers in the NFL that we had. Dude, done. Never plays again. We had a tight end. His name is spacing me right now, but his leg literally folded up in half when he went into the end zone.
Rough.
Never played again. The reconstructive surgery this guy needed was insane. He was one of the greatest tight ends we had. It's sad to watch a career come to an end over something like that. So I do support a lot of the things that are going into play. It's just a lot of people are not used to it at first, and it comes with a lot of hot, sighs and boos and hisses, but eventually
A lot of hot takes.
Yeah. But it's necessary.
What do you guys think about enhanced sports in general? Like regarding the enhanced games, we went to Vegas a couple weeks ago. Brandon, me too.
I think it's great if people want to do it. I think the challenge with the enhanced games is that they had a lot of aged out athletes trying to maintain.
Yeah.
They would have broken more world records if there were young people willing to juice up. But why would a young person juice up at their prime when they can actually win big records?
I gotta say,
Baseball
the
was
one
best
thing,
when people were juicing and smashing.
Oh, Mark
home runs all the
McGuire,
time.
dude.
Yeah, that era of Barry Bonds.
They were just
Mark.
everybody loves to watch
Sammy
gigantic
Sosa with the
monsters
cork in the bat.
smash home runs all day long. That's the thing that people love
Dingers.
about baseball. So
Was it just that it was unfair because most players didn't because they thought they weren't supposed to?
I don't know. I don't think most players didn't.
I guess the argument is if some start, everyone would have to be competitive, and then it gets real messed up.
well, look at the guy that there was the one guy that won there that wasn't on performance enhancing drugs that won an event.
Yes.
He went there.
Two people, actually.
Was there two people that
Yeah, it
won?
was a woman and a guy.
That shit, I'm like, you went to the enhanced games knowing you were going against people.
But they let him in on purpose because that's the
Enhanced.
point, to see
Right.
if they could do it.
to see if they could do it. So it's
Okay.
cool that they can still
It was a big
represent.
experiment.
And they were doing more than drugs. They were like, it was their regiments were enhanced too.
Yeah.
Kind of got
They were on Adderall.
Really?
Yeah. Adderall, modafinil. You know what that does?
No.
You don't need sleep.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yep.
intense.
Human growth hormone, testosterone. But these guys were older. You know what I mean? They're like in their late 20s, early 30s, where it's like, okay, your career is winding down in athletics.
First, they're going to get a robot that's a bat boy, and then they're going to let him hit, and then they're going to let him pitch, and they're going to be like, we don't need human pitchers anymore. The robot can throw exactly.
And then
the-
we're living in Futurama, basically.
What happens when you've got a dude with one arm and he's got a cybernetic, like full functioning arm, and they're like, whoa, that's cheating. You can't do it. Remember Pistorius before he got accused? Did he get convicted of murdering his girlfriend or whatever?
Yes, I think
Yes.
he did.
Yeah. Well, before he did that, he was running on those spring feet. And they argued to give him an advantage because it was a mechanical enhancement. He argued he has to use substantially more power and specific muscles to move because runners have, with the lower muscle groups, they disperse the energy in their leg more evenly. But there was a big dispute over whether or not those fake legs would give him spring and make him go faster.
Look at Antonio Alfonseca. You guys remember him? He's a six-fingered pitcher. The guy could throw balls that no one else could throw because he had an extra finger on his hand.
Yeah, that's not fair.
Now,
interesting.
some would argue that it's completely fair because it was a natural thing. He didn't take drugs to grow an extra finger and be good at pitching. He was born this way.
What if he did?
I mean,
What if he was
Is that a
literally
possible-
like,
do you think
here's a
he stem
pill, it'll
celled
make
it?
you grow another finger?
I mean, if they could prove it, sure, unfair. Absolutely unfair. But if it's like a natural thing, like you can't shun the guy from sports just because like he's got an extra finger.
Yeah,
Now this lays heavily into like the whole gender sports thing of should a man be able to go into a woman's sport and claim that he's a woman and win the entire thing? That's not a natural enhancement, in my opinion. So I think there's a plain line to be drawn in between
And like,
these two things.
if a kid gets like growth hormone juiced up when he's 12 or 13, maybe just dietarily, and he becomes 7'2", he's got.
I mean, that's why we have drug tests, but yeah.
We're going to just grow 10 foot tall monsters that live for 30 years. And they can just play basketball when they walk up and just place the ball in the hoop.
I wonder if Yao Ming was a chimera, if a Chinese experiment. I don't think he was.
I think chimera is the wrong word. It's not the word you're looking for.
Yeah.
Chimera is a human. Well, they say human animal hybrid. Humans
is
are
incorrect.
Are
animals.
you looking for a homunculus?
That is not what chimera
Human
means.
animal hybrid. What is it?
Chimera means 2 sets of DNA in one organism.
Okay.
So there are human chimeras. Like you
Oh.
you might see like one eye, like some people with heterochromia, eyes are different colors because they have different DNA sets. There are people who like in the womb twins are forming, but then stop, and then part of the body just becomes so. There are a lot of stories where a guy has like different DNA in an organ or something because of some kind of weird, deformity in the womb.
So a human animal hybrid could be a chimera, but not all chimeras are human animal hybrids.
That's the science fiction version.
Yeah.
Chimerism is just 2 different sets of DNA. And so sci-fi says, what if it was like a dog and like a giraffe? And then you're like, okay, well, I guess.
What if it's a heavy metal band from Cleveland?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so this is a distinction from what's called a mosaic. So people can be mosaics too, which arise from mutations of a single zygote.
There you go. That's that.
Chimeras have multiple zygotes.
Yeah, there you go.
It's funny you mentioned about American Power earlier, trying to change the name of everything. We already implemented a halftime show for the FIFA World Cup finale. Like they're, I think it's like a 40 or 35-minute, halftime show. So like they're getting the NFL treatment.
Good.
Does Jay-Z
And
run it?
then what we do is next time we're gonna introduce some rule changes. Be like it's light rule change. Some hand is going to be allowed, like use your hands, okay? And then like a week later they'll be like, we're actually adding another rule. We're gonna mark the field and we're gonna elevate the goal actually. And then just like 6 months later, after like a dozen rule changes, they're playing football.
We'll be like, okay,
The World
we're
Cup.
gonna rename it football now.
No, it's football. It's always been football. Thank you and have a nice day.
Yeah.
It would be funny if like we set up the World Cup and it's actually just a football, American football, and we're like, oh, you said football. Oh, you meant that
That's what I mean.
football.
Okay, now
Oh,
we can.
jeez.
Fine, we'll
sorry.
call it football.
No, I'm saying we make them play NFL football and then go, oh, we thought when you were saying it was football, like, oh, because we
play
did
American dumb, and we go, wait, oh, that's what you meant? Oh, whoops. We don't do that here. Sorry. Why would we
Oh
do that?
no.
Fine, we'll call it
guess-
football.
So you'll have
After
like.
we raise the goal.
Do you think what do you think would happen if you took these soccer guys from like these other countries and said, okay, play football?
Be like that South Park episode where the Red Wings played the kids in that game. Remember that?
No.
No?
Isn't there one team right now that currently has one of their kickers? He's a former soccer player professionally.
Makes sense.
There's a lot of
Remember when that lady tried to kick and then she couldn't do it?
the crazy thing about that. There is a thing happening right now where they're realizing that some of the best kickers in the world are people that don't actually play sports. Like there's like they're hiring kickers that ex-soccer players, people that are doctors and stuff like that, but just this guy decided to go out and kick a football for 10 straight years and he got better than anybody that went to college for it.
You might be thinking of Brandon Aubrey from the Cowboys.
There's a college team that put a female kicker in play to be progressive.
Yes.
And then she just whiffed it real bad, costing them the game, and then the dudes were crying over it.
Brutal.
The
Oops.
Caleb Haney thing was nuts.
Was that it or what?
The whole the kicker in Chicago that hit the field goal post 3 times before he was supposed to go to the playoffs. I can't remember if it was 2 or 3 times. That dude got death threats. Him and his wife got death threats within a week. Now, the causality of this was a kicker who practiced by kicking a football at a pole in the middle of the field and trying to hit the pole. That was one of his
Muscle
practice.
memory. Oh,
So,
damn.
The whole thing was, you're telling me this guy was actually kicking a ball at these poles as practice, and you put him in a playoff situation and he hits the pole 3 times.
High stress.
I was watching that game from work and screaming in the workplace because I was by myself because I could not. There's no way he does it again. There's no way he hits the pole again. He hit the pole again.
What the Brandon Aubrey you mentioned? This guy from
Dallas Cowboys.
Cowboys.
Yeah.
What was his career before he became a kicker? Are you
Brandon
familiar?
Aubrey. I don't know what the hell he was doing.
But he was a non-athlete.
Yeah, he did not. I don't believe he got in by conventional means.
That's pretty cool, man.
Let me check actually, because I'm kind of curious.
Multi-sport athlete, place.
Oh, I think I found the video. Is this one it?
That is
Yeah,
Lalani Armenta.
Who's a
and
soccer
she's going to
player.
play and she's going to kick off and maybe even do some field goals tonight for the Jackson State Tigers. Of course, she was on the Jackson State women's soccer team, and because of injuries this week during practice, she's going to get her shot
She's wearing a
tonight
knee brace
to
on her
be a
kicking leg,
kicker.
too.
Yeah,
And
what's
what an
that good?
impressive young lady it's
just said
been,
she's
and a
injured.
chance for her. And I'm sure
Oh,
she's
no.
pretty nervous at this point. But they have her out there, and SWAC football is underway.
Wow, that
And
was
the-
like 18 yards. You see that?
And here's the story of the
That was
day,
one of the
right
worst
there.
kicks I've ever seen.
That wasn't even a squib. That was just a bad.
No,
kick.
that was nowhere.
Oh no!
Oops.
Borderline onside kick.
They were gonna
So yeah, right.
What the
This was a story from Newsweek. This is from back in 2023. College football team's first female player widely mocked after kicking. I feel bad for her. What was she thinking? You're injured and you're going to try and kick. You're going to make yourself look bad. You're going to make everybody look bad. Man,
I feel like a lot of that was nerves too. That looked like she was just panicking and just,
I guarantee there are at least 25 guys on the team who could kick better.
wow, what a boot.
Did her dad sponsor the game? I can't think of another reason why she's on the pitch.
And yes,
Bro.
Brandon Aubrey was a professional soccer player and software engineer before he started kicking in the NFL professionally.
He was a what?
He used to play soccer and he was
Oh,
a
he played
engineer.
He played soccer, of course.
about Aubrey?
He was a software engineer. Turned kicker for the
There are
NFL.
actually several current and recent NFL kickers that began their careers as professional or collegiate soccer players. So there's a bunch of people.
There's an uptick in it because they're realizing these guys kick balls better than the guys that we've trained to kick footballs their whole lives.
Yeah.
Kick balls.
Yes. Right in the balls.
The show "Ow My Balls," most notably.
It's like power slap.
That we watched a lot. Our bass player really likes that show. We watched
so
a lot
dumb.
of
It's
that.
Rochambeau. It's like
It's
first I
terrible.
smack you as hard as I can, and if you survive, you can smack me after. It's
Yeah.
like what? Who goes first?
Some dudes
Like,
don't
who
get a
win?
chance. There's a coin toss, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm willing to bet if you track power slap, majority of the winners are the guys who went first. Because
Maybe.
even if the other guy stays up, he's smacked. Like it's going to be disorienting.
I've seen a bunch of the matches where they I think it's only 3 slaps each, and like they
all make
both
it.
make it through.
I mean, I just dumb.
I think it's dumb too.
Power slap, the person who strikes first wins approximately 53% of all matches.
That's it? Really? Wow. They must set those matchups intentionally to be like the stronger guy has to go second
Maybe. I don't know.
because you're getting smacked in the face.
It's hard to take a smack man like that.
Did you see that? You ever see the pillow fight ones?
No.
It's just two guys that go out and it's extreme pillow fighting. And
Wait,
they're
what?
Basically, look it up. It's one of the craziest things I've ever seen. They literally take pillows and wad them up at the end, and they go after each other and try to knock each other out with pillows.
This just sounds like an ESPN.
That's exactly what you want to see.
Something that you see on the Ocho.
Yeah.
Just like that slap play. It's basically MMA with pillows.
Oh, nice one.
These guys are good.
Hitting him with the 3.
This is cool.
What I'm liking for Turbo is he's cutting off Simon from jumping around. Beautiful. To the window. To the moon. Oh, he went. One blow.
Oh, I love it.
FC.
This is a
What is this supposed to accomplish? Is he sponsored by Dr. Pepper?
Look at how many people are in the stands.
They're just taking it.
Sponsored by
Do they actually get
On the
knocked out though?
offense.
I have
Lots of
seen people get
athleticism.
knocked out.
Oh, wow. Open it up for Kenta to finally get goals. She lost
women's
it.
pillow.
There, Evan.
How heavy are the pillows?
Another headshot.
Not that heavy, obviously.
Oh, and he's playing it. Oh,
the grazing pillow strike.
And that's what people love, and that's what
He
the
used
judges
friction
like.
to his
Well, that's
advantage.
the referee in this point.
You can like scrape their face with the pillow.
Another 360.
I want to see someone get knocked out.
Very defensive here. In
I
the
assume
final
it's
30
score
seconds.
based.
Blocking every shot.
You probably get points.
Oh, with that 360, that's maybe the difference. Apollo might take this home, Evan.
360.
Locked again. Now, if you hit the 360, you hit the hand, and your hand hits your.
Someone's got to get something action here.
Yeah, Carvalho, great 360
Can you not
shot.
go for the legs?
That's a three-pointer.
It's a
three-pointer.
right there.
And now
Oh,
he hangs
yeah, it's
on
point-based.
Turbo.
Come on and do it in a
Get
couple
used to it,
minutes.
because if the
3
governor and the
seconds
mayor of
left.
Chicago have anything to do with it, this is going to be the only thing you're going to have to watch in
Turbo.
Chicago.
I don't know. It's
Great
kind of
stuff.
based.
Field's turning into.
I kind of like this.
Turbo very
Like it's
stationary.
point-based.
He's just like a moving
I'd like to see someone get knocked out.
target.
Fencing.
I mean, you might have to specifically search for a knockout. I'm sure someone's been smacked hard enough.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Rocks in their bag. I don't even want to. That would be terrible.
I want to know, like,
They put barbed wire on it.
Like, is there an
We used to
official
call
weight
that the
that's
stinger.
I imagine there is an official weight. Yeah.
Weight.
Yeah, they weigh the pillows.
I want to see the weigh-in where they're like testing the softness of the pillow. Too firm.
There's a ton of knockouts.
Pillow fight.
Like there's a ton actually.
Really?
How long has this thing been around for?
I think I first saw this 4 or 5 years ago, so it's been...
There you go, 2021.
Yeah.
I prefer it to that slap fight challenge thing.
Yeah.
That's just brutal.
This is way better than slap, dude.
Yeah, slap kind of sucks for me. Anyway, I don't like.
Okay, we don't need this weird music.
Where's the knockouts?
I want to see a
can't hear me
knockout
on the
though.
ground.
There's a bunch of shorts of knockouts, but I want to see.
Downs. They count those probably.
Is she wearing a Blue Lives Matter
It looked like it.
pants?
Oh boy.
Thin blue line.
Ooh, that one got him.
Boom! He got a pillow
You
to
can
the
see
face.
days a bit.
They're getting heavier. Is the
There's got to be a better than this.
This is
I
ridiculous.
searched for PFC knockouts.
Yeah, these are
I
like,
don't want to.
these are TKOs. These aren't KOs.
Yeah, I want to
Yeah,
see,
this
like,
is dumb.
Does someone actually get knocked out? I don't think that anyone has.
It's like on TikTok they got it, but where's the YouTube? There's no
Oh, in the
YouTube clips.
octagon now.
We might need to test this.
Professional pillow fighter gets knocked out with a pillow.
We just take turns cracking Andy in the face with the pillow and see how many it takes to knock him out.
This is just someone reacting to it. Where's the actual knockout, bro?
Where's the juice?
Yeah.
Give me some juice.
dude? If someone gets knocked out by a pillow, that's the funny.
Who cares about TKO? It's like I Google searched it and it's all just like TKO. Well, duh, that's all the game is.
Spinning backhand is.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've noticed that's the
that's a
go-to
power
move.
Just
This is annoying.
You don't
Number
see the
one
pillow
isn't a
'cause it's
legitimate
behind.
knockout. I'm gonna be
I guess there's like I don't want to pull up a TikTok video. It's annoying. It gives you the business.
Oh please, I've had a
This
better
is-
fight with my friends.
This is not a knockout.
This is terrible.
I don't think there are knockouts in the pillow fighting.
I don't think so either.
The guy got knocked out of the ring. It's not a knockout.
Yeah, you'd have to be real
Technically,
weak.
it was.
I would take that at this point. Seeing someone get smacked so hard they went out of the ring, that would be funny.
I got knocked out of the ring.
This
Yeah,
is like,
the
what
guy
is
got
this?
knocked out of the ring. That's not. Ain't nobody getting knocked out.
I can't believe there are people that are watching this.
They're just trading blows.
Is
No,
there?
It's worse than that, Phil. People paid money to watch this.
Yeah, right.
Someone sponsored this.
If anyone's
They're like, we'll just
listening and
take
not
it.
watching, it's top 10 hits of 2021 is the name.
Is
of
that
the
guy
video.
wearing a Tigger cosplay back there? What?
Probably.
Oh, they
ES
got caught
This
up.
is on ESPN, dude.
Ref had to step in.
This is like a big thing. How do we not?
Whoa.
They're just allowing the
Yeah, they're just
pillows
taking
to
it.
hit their faces.
That's because you don't get knocked out with a pillow.
That's the yeah.
They're like, give it to me. I'll show you how hard I am.
Okay, well, this isn't pillow fighting, but it came up and it's entertaining.
This is way better.
Yes.
What is SCA, right?
Ah, yes.
Hard, dude.
Yes.
Now that's painful.
This is definitely way better.
This is the barbery that I was referring to earlier that we're so obsessed with that this is still entertaining for us.
Bring back
Medieval sword fighting.
Yeah.
There's some great video games.
This is why Medieval Times is still around in his
Here we go.
The weapon of time.
I mean, you can go to any SCA chapter and do this right now if you wanted to.
What's that? SEA.
The Society for Creative Anachronism, and this is where guys with a lot of money to blow will dress up exactly like that and beat the tar out of each other.
Hard is like.
Oh yeah.
Is it something where a poor guy like me can walk up, become a fighter, and then slowly ascend to the rank of gladiator and take over, overthrow a small community of...
I mean, I met guys that literally would smith their own.
There you
In the Middle
go.
Ages, this is when he would pull out his dagger and put it through the eye visor of the other guy.
to the head?
Yeah.
Oh, he knocked him out, dude.
His shield smashed him in the head like 4 times.
That's kind of
Yeah.
That's sharp.
Look at that arena.
That's bludgeoning to the face, dude.
Very Highlander-esque.
Fought in like the Scotland Highlands.
Yeah. The dude's like, no, I'm done.
Knights fights.
Bro, relentless.
Bloody face and everything.
Oh, that go down.
Getting dragged out.
That's tough because he's got a metal mask on. You couldn't see how busted his face was. You just
But
have
you'll
to
find
watch
out when you pull it off.
it. Yeah. The ref
There's a
has
bunch
to
of it.
provide Body language.
Armored MMA.
His arm from coming down the ring and all his points, but it's just
You telling me these guys are kicking each other and everything? Like,
gotta do some
The
offshoot.
ref's got a stick.
ref has a stick.
Yeah.
What the?
Action back underway after switching the armor.
Getting back.
Man, De
Amazing
Bruyne
spin
just coming
maneuver.
back, though,
Locked
brother.
up. Oh, he's down. Oh, be on the ground.
And let's see if he can get
Is
this
any of this
Side control.
with a
De Bruyne
sword
was
to you
stopping that
guys?
pass
Well,
over
they're blunt
and getting those
swords.
knees from
Yeah.
the bottom.
But I mean, like,
Abid's got that
throwing
knee
each
on
other
belly.
around, taking
And
down,
it's
at what point are you susceptible to taking the tip of one of those swords in the gut, you know?
Shield punches,
I wonder if there's any like
man,
severe
it's
stabbings
like
or
right
anything
when
coming
De
out of the
Bruyne gets
sport.
going.
Well, they don't
That's
give
when
them
Abid
sharp.
gets that
Pretty
takedown.
rounded,
He
too. Yeah,
takes
they're rounded,
advantage
yeah.
of it because De Bruyne, he comes right back when
And
he
they're
gets hit.
fully
It's
armored.
awesome to see, but he's got to watch that takedown.
Well, that you're
So when
definitely
you
wearing
come up
signing a
off
waiver.
the mat after the
What'd you say,
ground
they're wearing
game is
chainmail?
finished,
They're not fully covered by this armor.
who's coming up with less energy?
The armor
person
looks
who
like
was
they're just
receiving
covering
the
the-
hits or the person who was delivering the hits.
Like they got plates.
It's mainly just the
You're
front.
working out on the ground, man.
Is there like half plate or something?
Oh, there's that sword punch attempt again.
Full suits.
Yeah,
great way to
Let's
close
just
distance,
watch
honestly.
guys
Yeah.
sword fight in plate armor from now on.
I mean,
All right, everybody, we're going to get your questions here from the Discord. So get those question-ins. We'll pull them up for everybody else. Smash the like button, share the show, and all that good stuff. Sinoski, he's got a question. He says, Tim, over the last few years, we've seen the slow shift of business demonstrating that wokeism DI policies just aren't a thing anymore. The Bears being the prime example today. But even earlier this week, with Victoria's Secret shares surging nearly 50% after moving back to sexy and hot models. Is it a true sign of positive change, or is it a false signal simply due to Trump policy changes? I think they lost a ton of money. I think Bud Light proved it. So a lot of these companies are retreating, but woke isn't dead. When you conquer a nation, its people are still there. You have to subjugate them. So the woke must be subjugated and kept out of media and entertainment institutions and corporations. And I don't know what you guys think.
Re-education. When you conquer a nation, you re-educate the populace.
They're lying dormant right now.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say lying dormant. I think that there are things that they will stop pushing, right? So in this context, you're talking about the Victoria's Secret stuff. Like, I don't imagine that the body positivity movement or body positivity part of woke is going to be a thing anymore, particularly with things like Ozempic and Mounjaro. You have the option to not be overweight anymore, and I don't think that was ever real. There was never people that actually thought that people that were overweight was a good thing. It's unhealthy. They were trying to make all these arguments. It was untrue. But I think that the LGBT lobby lost a lot of power because of the trans part of the LGBT groups and stuff. But there are still going to be people that are going to be like, well, there's still systemic racism and all those other types of things. I think that those things are deeply ingrained in a lot of people. And so I don't think it's going away. It might change a little bit, and it has lost, social currency. But it will come back when Democrats are back in power. The Democrats haven't significantly moved away from all of these narratives. Like they'll tone down the rhetoric now. It's not as bad as it was in 2020, 21. But the people are still running on these things. You still hear people talking about, the class warfare stuff. You still see the left scapegoating certain groups of people and stuff like that. So it hasn't gone away. It will change some, but it's going to come back.
Well, and I mean, we live in a very much bifurcated kind of environment. We often describe things as like two realities or two Americas. But I mean, fundamentally, you still see those anti-racist messagings at the end of every, end zone at the NFL. You still have that the Oscars have their requirements to even be nominated to meet their various DEI and diversity goals. This is why Nolan's The Odyssey is the absolute fire show that it is in terms of representation of one of the most important myths and historical events to Western culture. And at the same time, like, these battles are still going on. Even right now, we can take a look at the things that people like James Tallarico are saying. There's the Democratic candidate for the Senate right now. I mean, he has said it multiple times, even abusing the pulpit, saying, he thinks about trans kids while having a beard of a girlfriend. Where all these things that are taking place, I mean, yeah, there's some cultural victories or mores where they're like, oh, they're reversing something. But when you have people on Twitter who are prominent progressive activists saying, well, woke 1.0 had some problems, that's not going away anytime soon because those institutions haven't been captured, they haven't been defunded, and there hasn't been a proper punishment. Yeah, the Bud Light thing is probably the first major success that we've seen against this sort of stuff. But when people like Benny Johnson and Orrin McIntyre can't even get Jimmy Kimmel canceled for openly lying about Charlie Kirk's assassination, then the right still has a long way to go. And I think woke has not gone away. It may be in hiding, but we know that when people run as Democrats, like I'm John Normalson or whatever, like this Graham Plattner guy that you guys were talking about yesterday, it doesn't matter how normal he tries to look on the outside. He's going to vote to the left of Mao every single time, no matter what problematic thing you may have with him.
It seems like wokeism derives from classism, which is like the Marxism is. But have there been instances historiologically, if you guys know, of like class warfare before Marx? Was he the first guy that kind of
The whole French Revolution.
Yeah, there's a lot of class war.
like
way before
India? The caste system is like a class, like a victory of a class war.
What we consider like modern socialism, like the seeds were planted in the French Revolution, right? Like, so the Jacobins and Rousseau, all those ideas, or all the ideas that Marx kind of put into the Communist Manifesto, they were all very popular with the French left during the French Revolution. Like, people love to blame the Jews and say that communism came from the Jews. It didn't come from the Jews. It came from the French during the French Revolution. Like, that's where all the seeds were planted. That's where the ideas really started to gain popularity.
And you've got a lot of other things to look at there. I mean, with the French Revolution, there's a great book by Jack Goldstone called Revolution and Rebellion in the Early Modern Era. The pressures for the French Revolution are heavily predicated on poor resources of mismanagement, the fact that the royalty is trying to create ways in which the titles of nobility for you to have access to land or wealth are increasingly diminished. You have an overproduction of areas for people that are trying to develop. An understanding of, say, like law degrees are a really good example of this. There were an over surplus of lawyers, plus a famine, and also infant mortality was down, so people were living longer.
Yep.
You had a perfect demographic and an economic time bomb that was large part due to revolution. And I mean, we can sort of look at this based on purchasing power. We could examine this based off the demographics, and eventually the management of that system, in this case the royalty. We saw how it was from the beginning of the revolution towards the end. Like, class warfare does, yes, happen, but it's also heavily going to be predicated on the external pressures that a lot of like materialist analysis works off of. But it's older than Marxism. We can even look at the Glorious Revolution in England in the 1600s. We can look throughout all of history that typically in periods of imperial rule, you're either bringing in other people to diminish the labor power that's there or otherwise. But it also comes not as I don't think it's exclusively materialist, because again, usually when you're bringing in a new policy or a new identity to either replace scab labor or whatever. I mean, it also comes with religion, ethnicity. It comes with a sense of cultural values. And it's the same thing that we're seeing already now. Like, we saw this during what a lot of people call peak woke, but like when Alison Brie is saying, like, this movie's not made for you, she's being very accurate. It isn't made for me and mine. It's made to indoctrinate the next level of children and for the people that they already have as the next, consumer base. They've already talked about this for years, whether it's ditching the gamers or ditching the pre-existing audience.
Ugly filters.
Yeah, the ugly filter. And like, we know that the left idolizes the ugly over the good and the true and the beautiful, but outside of that, they also have the means to enforce it, because the right doesn't have control over the various means in which you enforce the diversity quotas happen all the time.
Let's grab this question. We got this from Igregor. He says, question for the panel. If when you get married, your wife's parents become your mother-in-law and father-in-law, and her siblings become your brother-in-law and sister-in-law, does this mean that your wife is now your sister-in-law? No, she's your wife.
My own grandpa.
The answer is no, but I got the joke you're trying to make. Just a wife, All right, what do we got here? Volunteering for Change says, New York State legislature passes bill removing gender-specific terms from custody laws. What are your thoughts? Probably a good thing, accidentally. Remove the bias, I guess, from family courts.
They changed mother to gestating parent.
Oh, right. Yeah, that doesn't work.
Yeah, no.
And they'll still end up, putting all of the onus on the man to pay for everything.
The family court system is
changing,
historically anti-male.
Changing the verbiage doesn't change the material conditions.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Make them fight in the AMMA. What is that?
MMA.
Something MMA?
AMA.
Mixed martial arts? Armored mixed martial arts?
Oh, right. Yeah. Armored MMA.
There we go. Look, it's fun to watch. It's cool,
Oh, yeah. The shield to the face. I mean, the edges of those shields just battering
the real prehistoric man in me loves to just sit and mindlessly drone over it, but...
Wrath asks question, have we entered the bargaining phase with the woke, similar how treaties are signed after wars? Maybe? I don't know. I think we just crushed them.
Yeah, I don't think that they're comfortable giving up anything. I think that they're not comfortable giving up. There are things that they will stop pushing, the things that turn off the middle of America, like I said, like trans stuff is something that's really not popular. A lot of gays and lesbians are really upset with the trans lobby because there are people that are no longer, that have a negative view of gays and lesbians now because of the trans lobby, because of the activists. So they'll stop pushing things that are obviously unpopular with the American people. But I mean, your average, white urban liberal woman is still all in on things like, anti-racism and all that stuff. They still believe, there are people that still believe that, black men are hunted in the streets by police, even though statistically you see that was never true, that it was always just a line to get people to open their wallets.
They haven't left the restaurant. They're just hiding out in the unisex bathroom.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
I guess so, yeah.
I'll be back.
They're in the they room.
Yeah, I mean, to imply bargaining implies that there's been some kind of victory. I mean, the president is in the White House, but the Republican Party that he's, the avatar of won't even pass the most important piece of election, integrity legislation that this country's ever seen that it desperately needs. Otherwise, we're going to keep seeing this mail-in ballot crap like we're witnessing in Los Angeles.
Yep.
But it really does go to show that, an election is great, but you shouldn't be using this as a pressure release valve, and the average person obviously thinks that. I mean, considering it's 2026, so we're now 11 years since Obergefell v. Hodges, the legalization of gay marriage in the country, and I mean that really, I think, for a lot of people realize that the court has always been the supreme legislator over our congressmen, despite them having the power of the purse, and so all of our cultural war battles have been predicated on court victories. The left has especially been operating on legal battles for forever, at least since the 1960s. And so, there's nothing for us to bargain with because the left knows that they can either wait out this administration or wait out the demographic time bomb in this country, and that they can implement their victory.
Yep.
I mean, until they are absolutely crushed and kept out of power forever, there is no bargaining on either side to happen because the war is still on.
My name is Munchop, says Tim. You talk about wanting to build a city, but what industry would you use to coalesce around? For example, Austin grew a huge amount of the tech industry moved in, then an avalanche of new industries followed, including entertainment. What would your idea be for a high-money industry? The Timcast Corporation brings a lot of economic activity to this area that probably wouldn't exist. We may be one of the highest grossing businesses in the town that we're in. Actually, probably, I think it's fair to say we are. So that brings revenue in. The people who work here then rent around the area. They go to restaurants around the area. That activity is coming in. Then I tell other people in similar positions to center their businesses here. You could probably negotiate with the state because West Virginia is a smaller state population-wise, and they'll cut you a tax deal if you say you want to bring your business here. They'll get you some kind of deal. Then you get a bunch of media businesses, and you get their market products. The idea for the anti-Times Square was a cultural center. That is tourism. People would come to Martinsburg to shop at the stores because they know they can see all of the great products from the people online that they like. So a cultural center like Times Square, what does Times Square offer? Times Square, right?
Yep.
What say you, Ian? You want to build a city, right? What are you going to do?
Industry-wise,
Yeah.
honestly, it would be a big uptake, but I think we should make graphene. I think that we should start collecting trash.
That was obvious.
I was going to suggest American steel, which is still popular and highly sought after, but now graphene afterwards.
Yeah, you could start importing trash and flashing it into graphene in mass, but they're doing it already elsewhere. It doesn't mean that we can't do it here.
Chicago's been importing trash for years.
Yeah, dude, you just turn that carbon into graphene, man, and
That's
then export it.
messed up.
Import, export. People will be sitting there in laboratories with clay pots and what are those things called? Arc welders, just turning their black carbon trash into graphene.
I mean,
And then making
what's
roads
the
out of it.
closest waterway here from right now?
We have the Shenandoah, the Potomac.
Okay, so I'm thinking about water and industry, things that we desperately need to be built in-house. If I'm going to build a town, if I'm going to build around here, I would be coordinating with both the federal government and the HHS specifically, but not HHS, but Health and Human Services, but also with the state government. I would start thinking about building pharmaceuticals, especially antibiotics. We're almost heavily reliant exclusively on the Chinese to do it, and considering that all of their student visas that they come over either come in with agro-terrorism and biological terrorism, probably be best for the most important thing of the modern medical industry, antibiotics, to be built by Americans here at home.
Not just a Walmart?
Not just a Walmart.
Not just
Data
a
centers.
Walmart. That'll come next.
Yeah, Walmart can sell the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, and they do.
Yeah, it should be data centers, I think.
Well, I mean, that's been such in the works for so many years. Like, I know that a lot of people are now getting upset, or there's been, allegations of the Chinese also paying, people to agitate against it, which, I mean, hey, if Hassan Piker's going to jail, no complaints here. But at the same time, a lot of these things have been put in place in previous administrations. Like, a lot of projects that are happening to revitalize power plants or to make room for data centers, these things aren't going to be built until 2029 to 2033. And even then, there's still a lot of groundwork that needs to be done. So we're talking about steel, insulation, making sure that the construction companies have everything that they need. So there's a lot there that, of course, kind of hampers us because our industrial base has been so hollowed out. And it already makes it harder if you're getting any sort of tax subsidy or a grant to do so, because there's like the BABA requirements, Buy American, Build American. And like, unless you're actually a company or a factory or a manufacturer that's producing steel or the various forms of widgets, whatever you need to build, or insulation, wiring, etc., that does put a hamper on a lot of domestic building and manufacturing. And I mean, the thing is though, on a national security level, you absolutely need that to come back. It's just now whether or not this administration or any government on a state level or local wants to provide either maybe the necessity or the subsidies or whatever to make it happen. But these things are just a question of, national security needs for the United States, period.
Thinker for Life says, do you think if the left did gain power again, they would use flock cams to track down conservatives who fight their manipulation?
Sure.
Similarly, how ICE uses them to track illegals and suspected illegals, which ICE asks us to submit on the tip form. Yes, of course. Absolutely.
Flock cams?
Yeah, they track your license plates, and then they create a database of where people are and what they do.
Yeah.
It's like, what are the cameras? How do they track? Where are they coming from?
They'll be like on the side of the road, and when you drive past it registers your license plate and your car. And
man, that's the problem with
starts
centralization.
to formulate patterns on where you've been and where you're going regularly, so they know where to trap you.
It is deeply concerning about like cheering on a technocratic, incision, because whoever gets control of it is like, good God, who's coming next? Who's going to be in charge next? Who gets the Palantir next? I had a dream about the guy who runs Palantir, Alex Karp, last night, that I was hanging out with him. He was super cool, and he wanted to call me Testosterone Tilly or something.
What the hell?
He's like, I don't want to put your real name in my phone. We'll just call you like Testosterone Terry or something.
That's what I would have used.
Yeah.
He was loopy in that dream.
It's the firch thing that would have came to my mind.
Shout out to Alex Karp. Get on the show, bro. Come on.
All right. Let's grab one more while we're at it. Munchop says, no way. Times Square is the New York Stock Exchange right there. That's incorrect. The New York Stock Exchange is not in Times Square.
No, it's downtown.
It's downtown on Wall Street, which is where the wall was. The financial district, Times Square. Again, the New York Stock Exchange is in the financial district near Battery Park. Times Square is miles away.
Times Square is really just a
opposite end.
It was a crossroads of Broadway and 42nd Street.
Or 6th is Broadway.
6th Avenue. No, Broadway's its own street. It's a diagonal street that cuts across everything, and it
intersects with
6th Avenue and 42nd Street, and that's Times Square basically.
And what was there was the Times building, the news. But so there's Thomson Reuters that's up there right now, but it's a bunch of just random media stuff. Times Square literally makes money for being Times Square. No one goes there to go to Thomson Reuters building. I mean, like, you do if you have to go there, but the people who come there and buy food, it's because Bubblegum Shrimp is there.
And it's like 10 blocks away from Central Park, so it's kind of a nice business area.
Yeah, it's a tourist, mecca.
Yeah, you would avoid that at all costs if you live there.
Yep.
Usually. It smells good. It smells like roasted peanuts.
People walk very slow in Times Square.
It's not.
It smells like bum piss and disappointment.
Really? I always smell the dudes grilling the peanuts at their stalls on the.
I smell New York. Just smells.
Bless
like
you for
garbage.
being able to pick that aroma out of the air over there.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. That about does it for today. Thank you so much for hanging out. Smash the like button. Share the show with everyone you know. It's been fun. It's been great to have you, good sir. Guys, you can follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. Join us at timcast.com for the Discord community. Would you like to shout anything out before we go, sir?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. You can find me on Twitter at Mr. Prudentialist. I'm also there on Substack as well. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, myself and my co-host Gio Panicetti host a show called The Digital Archipelago. We like to describe it as we're on Twitter, so you don't have to be covering the news, various cultural artifacts that inform us on what we're going on in today's world, but also, where are the arts and culture really happening. Alongside that, once a month, I host a show and a program called Do You Even Read? Everyone tells us that we need to read theory, understand what's going on in the world. Well, we're probably the only show on the internet that actually takes the time to read the books that take place. If not, you can always find my works on Substack. I've been published in Frontier Magazine with The Blaze and numerous other places. So, as always, Tim, thank you so much for having me on.
Right on.
Great show, guys. Ian Crossland. Follow me on the internet at Ian Crossland everywhere. Go to my YouTube channel and Twitch. Sign up and subscribe so that you can watch me go live and join in in, join my Discord community, join the Timcast Discord community as well. Go to castbrew.com, pick up the Graphene Dream, follow me on X and Instagram, Phil Labonte.
I am Phil It Remains on Twix. The band is All That Remains. You can check out our music at Apple Music, Amazon Music, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, and Deezer. Next Sunday, a week from this Sunday, we will be playing at Warped Tour in Washington, D.C. You can get your tickets at warptour.com. Don't forget, the left lane is for crime.
I'm Carter Banks. You can follow me at Carter Banks and at Carter Banks Official everywhere else. Wow, that went by really fast. Great conversation, Brand. I'm glad you were here.
Go Bears.
Talk about sports all day, dude.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And thank you guys for letting a pissed off ex-Chicago native voice his grievances on the show. My name is Brandon Miner. You can follow me at Brando Boonies on Insta and on X. Don't forget to check out the Skateboard Podcast and check out PCC, both shows which I appear on randomly. And thanks for letting me hang out.
Let's go. We'll be back with clips throughout the weekend. Then, of course, on Monday. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see y'all next time.